They got
Well, I don't say hi.
It's fine. I was gonna waste that. No, because the next day I always have a cleanup party. So I invite my family, another party. And then we eat all the leftovers. Oh, wait.
Okay, everyone, if we can find our seats, silence our cell phones, we're about to get started. And if we can close the side doors and the back door, I greatly appreciate it. But I don't. I actually wanted, beer. This is going out long.
Are we live?
We're live. Okay. Good evening, everyone. We are on the record. Today is Wednesday, the 6th day of March in the year 2024. This is a regular meeting of the Jersey City Municipal Council. We had a scheduled 6 p.m. start, and the clock on my cell phone is showing 6:03 p.m. May we have a roll call for the commencement of this meeting? Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Councilperson Prinzeri.
Here.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Yeah.
Councilperson Saleh.
Here.
Councilperson Solomon. Councilperson Gilmore.
Present.
Councilperson DeGise.
Here.
Councilperson Rivera.
Here.
And Council President Waterman. We have all 9 council members present at 6:03 p.m. Can we kindly rise for a moment of silence, please?
Former Ward A Councilman Michael Catalano.
Jersey City artist Joseph Knight.
Thank you very much. On behalf of Council President Waterman and the members of the Municipal Council in accordance with the New Jersey Public Laws of 1975, Chapter 231, the Open Public Meetings Act, Also known as the Sunshine Law. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by the posting on the bulletin board of the first floor of City Hall, which is the annual notice. It's the schedule of meetings and caucuses of the Municipal Council for the calendar year 2024 and filed in the office of the City Clerk on Thursday, November 30th, 2023. In addition, at its time of its preparation, the agenda of this meeting was similarly disseminated on Friday, March 1st, 2024 at 1:40 p.m. to the mayor, municipal council, business administrator, corporation council, and the local newspapers, and posted on the city's website, so I can certify as to our total compliance with the Sunshine Law. Council members, before we move on to our order of business, we do have an item to add that was discussed at the caucus meeting, and it's the very last resolution on the agenda, and I'll read it into the record. Item 10.32, Resolution 24-168. It's a resolution honoring Deputy Chief Nick Flora on his retirement. I
Motion.
have a motion to add item 10.32, Resolution 24-168 to the agenda. Motion was made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to add item 10.32, Resolution 24-168 to the agenda, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary. Councilperson Bajano.
I don't know, Nikki. Should I say aye? Nikki, you're the best. Aye.
Did you sweat that one out?
Yes.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries unanimously 9-0 to add Resolution 24-168 to the agenda. So council members, since we're adding that one, I believe we talked about it at caucus. We would like to defer to Resolutions 24-140, 24-149, and 24-168. Do I have a motion to defer?
Motion.
Motion made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give that one to the council president. It was close, really close. On the motion to defer the resolutions 24-140, 149, and 168, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
I thought you were upset. Okay. Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to defer to resolutions 24-140, 149, and 168. And we'll start with the first one. Give me 1 second. Okay, the first one is item 10.4, City Resolution 24-140 is a resolution recognizing the Sikh Heritage Month of April 2024. So we want to vote on it, or do you? Let's vote on it first. Okay. On Resolution 24-140, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Resolution 24-140 is approved unanimously 9-0. Do we have someone to come up? So this is the Sikh Heritage Month, whereas the city of Jersey City is pleased to recognize and commemorate the monumental achievements of the Sikh community and desires to bring awareness for the month of April 2024 as Sikh Heritage Month. And therefore it be resolved, the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City recognizes the month of April 2024 as Sikh Heritage Month for its dedication and contributions to the community.
Say something.
Good evening, esteemed Council President Joyce Waterman,
Just
all
make sure
council
the-
members.
Raise the mic a little bit.
Our esteemed guests, I, Arjuman Juveria, pharmacist and passionate community activist, stand before you today with a deep sense of honor and pride as I advocate for the Sikh Heritage Month bill in our city. Today is a historic day as we gather here to pass this bill and acknowledge the invaluable contributions of the Sikh community to our society. April holds a special significance for the Sikh community, and it's during this month April month that we came together to cook and distribute 10,000 meals to those in needs across the tri-state area. Additionally, we repeat this act of service every November. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to Council President Joyce Waterman and Council members for their unwavering support and their dedication in making this bill a reality. Your commitment to embracing diversity and fostering an environment of inclusivity and respect is commendable and sets an example for others to follow. As we sit here in this council chamber, I am reminded of the extraordinary impact the Sikh community has had on our city. Their selfless acts of service, their dedication to education, and their unwavering commitment to equality are qualities that we should all strive to emulate. Today, as we pass the Sikh Heritage Month bill, let us not only recognize the contributions of the Sikh community, but also send a resounding message of appreciation and gratitude. By doing so, we not only honor their heritage, but also inspire others to embrace diversity and work towards building a more harmonious and inclusive society. This bill is not just a piece of legislation. This is a symbol of our city's commitment to embracing and celebrating our diverse communities. It is a statement that we value and respect every individual, regardless of their background or faith. By officially recognizing Sikh Heritage Month, we are creating a space where every member of our community feels valued, respected, and included. Thank you for your time, your dedication, and your unwavering commitment to our community. Today, we have the opportunity to make history by approving the Sikh Heritage Month bill and taking a significant step towards a more inclusive and harmonious city. Let us seize this moment and pave the way for a brighter future. Thank you.
Can you just state your name for the record again? Can you state your name for the record? Spell it for us.
Arjumand, Arjumand, Juveria, Juweria.
Thank you so much.
Who's Danny? Bring your phone.
There you go. Come on, thank you.
Pam, you have a picture? Okay, come on. Come on, Sonny. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is this your phone? Oh.
Yeah, okay.
I couldn't take a video.
You can't get me.
Okay.
Control, man.
Not that I'm showing favoritism in any way, but this next resolution is near and dear to me because there's a friend of mine who is coming on board with the city of Jersey City. Before I go into all of that, let me just read it into the record. Item 10.13, Resolution 24-149 is a resolution appointing an animal control officer with the authority to investigate and enforce animal control laws of the state and certain ordinances on behalf of the city of Jersey City. Council members will be taking a vote on Resolution 24-149. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Congratulations on your appointment, and with that, I say aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Congratulations, excited to work with you. I say aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Sean, you said this is your friend. I just want to make sure.
Wait, before you vote, I just want to put it on the record. He is a diehard Jet fan.
Okay. I vote aye.
I knew that would sway him. Councilperson DeGise.
Aye, congratulations.
Councilperson Rivera.
Should have known that first. I vote aye.
And Council President Waterman. Resolution 24-149 is approved unanimously 9-0. So like I was saying, it gives me great honor to swear in my friend Mark Burns. I've known Mark Burns for many, many years. I'm not going to name the number of years because I don't want to date each other on how old we are, but he was born and raised in Jersey City, and no one is more deserving and cares about animals like Mark Burns does. He's posted on Facebook so many rescues that he's had, and I'm so excited to have him here in Jersey City. He's going to be such an asset to Stacy Flanagan's office, and I'm excited to work with him too in the best way that I can. So it's my honor to swear my friend in, Mark Burns.
And Bark.
Got to get official. Oh, fine. All right, Mark, you repeat after me. I, Mark Burns. Oh, your left hand on the Bible, right hand up. Sorry. I, Mark Burns, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the state of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, to the governments established in the United States and in this state, under the authority of the people, and that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties as a director of the Division of Animal Care and Control of the City of Jersey City, according to the best of my ability. Just need you to sign and you can.
Council, I would like to thank you for your unanimous vote on this appointment. It is a great trust you have put in me, and Councilman, you especially. And I assure you, we will do this diligently, we will do this properly, and we're going to help a lot of people and a lot of animals. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mark. Well deserved. All right. And on to our last resolution, which is item 10.32, resolution 24-168 is a resolution honoring Deputy Chief Nick Flora on his retirement. Council members are going to be taking a vote on resolution 24-168. Councilperson Ridley.
Flora, you know that you have definitely left your imprint here in Jersey City. You know that you have worked very, very closely, particularly with the Ward A community and all of our captains meeting. You know that you are still our favorite captain, even though you're deputy chief now. I just thank you for always being there, always listening to the residents, always being willing to reach out and compromise, and always being willing to address their needs, no matter what capacity you were in. And we appreciate that, and happy retirement. I vote aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
So Nikki, it has been a pleasure to work with you from before I was on council, attending those captains meetings for my neighborhood association, and while on city council. You are an exemplary person, and you really do have done the city proud and done the police department proud. Your patience and your professionalism has always been some of my favorite things about you. And you are missed. The other day, I was like, I need to call Nikki about this, and I was like, I can't call about this anymore. But anyway, but you've always been available, and you've always been honest and have done the right thing, and I appreciate that. I vote aye.
Thank you, Councilperson Baggiano.
Nikki, I'm not going to tell the stories of when I taught you in the police academy because I don't want to embarrass you. But no, Nikki, let me tell you, I know your mom for years and years from St. Joseph's. Nikki, we miss you tremendously. And I'm sorry you left. And I hope at the Port of Authority you do just as great a job as you did for us here in Jersey City. And I've known you for many, many years, and you're one of the best. So congratulations, Nikki. And I wish you would come back.
Are you going to vote?
Oh, I vote.
Or are you going to make him sweat?
Should I say no? Should I say no, Nikki, or what? No. Nikki's one of the best.
Councilperson Saleh.
Deputy Chief Flora, we miss you. We need you. And I'm really sad every time I think about the fact that you're not with the Jersey City Police Department. You are a paragon of integrity. You're a pillar in the community. You're an example of, you know, the kind of police that we need in our city. And you left a big hole and a high bar for everyone that comes after you. And we have so much to thank for you. You saved countless lives in your tenure here at Jersey City, people that will never know the work that you diligently did behind the scenes to make sure that our city was safe. And it's a testament to how well you worked with all the council people, that you were always there 24/7. If I needed to call you, you were available for not just me. It made me feel special, but I know you afforded that to every single council person up here. And you were there for us, and you were there for the city when we need you. And I really hope the Port Authority is treating you well, and I hope to bring you back one day. With that, I vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Deputy Chief, thank you for everything you did for the city. There are few people in Jersey City who aren't held as high regard from all members of the community, right? From the entire ranks of the department, from the top to the officers on the beat, everyone respects the work you did. Go to community meetings, talk to folks, everyone respects how much you cared for the city and the professionalism and integrity with which you carried out your job. So this honor is well deserved, but also, we should do so much more to thank you for everything you did. So I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Yeah, Nick, I just want to thank you for your service. It's a hard job to be a police officer. So the record reflect, well, I'm never going to do it. But I do want to thank you for your service. I remember before my council days, being a community advocate, sitting on a panel, setting up meetings with you, discussing the dynamics of community policing, and you've always been receptive to the concept. You check the boxes of what good police leadership looks like. I wish we were able to remove deputy chief and, made you the chief to keep you here. Because just the environment in which you create for the officers, for the community, we're gonna miss it. But if they should ever treat you wrong in Port Authority, just give me a call. I think I'll be in a better position in 25. So give me a call. With that, I vote aye.
Councilperson DeGief.
Nick, we've known each other for a long time. I want to thank you for setting the model of good policing here. Before the buzzwords of community policing and community engagement, you led that charge as an officer, as a captain, and as deputy chief. You always practiced what you preached, and the other officers not only respected you for that, but followed suit. And it has, tremendously changed Jersey City from the times that you started as a police officer. And I'm so happy that you got to be a part of that. And I hope you understand that you're such an integral part of that change. I think, what we're doing here is great, but there should be a room named for you with the public safety annex. And it should be about, future police officers and what the model is. So I proudly vote yes. You're going to be so missed. And I thank you for all the help that you've offered, not just myself, but the rest of the council, answering my calls and texts at obscenely late hours, and always getting information to us honestly and quickly. Thank you.
Councilperson Rivera.
Damn, Nikki. Man, you've been real, man, from the beginning. I hope you remember, like I remember the conversation vividly when I went into the South District and told you you should be the chief. And that was a long time ago, man. And you are an amazing person, man. You really are. From the times that I spent out there in the wee hours of the night, going to homicide scenes, going to all kinds of scenes, you were there for me, man. And you gave me numbers to share with our council colleagues here. This city is going to miss you a whole bunch. And we've already started feeling it, all right? So I proudly vote aye. And we're going to send, now, Richie Boggiano is going to bother you a lot at Port Authority. I'm telling you that right now, so.
And Council President Waterman.
Vicky, you just been a great guy. I want to say you're very responsive, and sometimes when you're in public office, everyone don't respond. And that's so important that people respond. Everything the council has said, I say ditto. I do wish you well. I know, you're an asset to Port Authority. They don't even realize, who walked in the room when you walked in there. So congratulations, Mom, you did a great job. Be proud of your son. And Nikki, keep doing what you're doing. God bless you.
Nikki, I just forgot one thing. Chris and John, my sons went to school with Nikki at St. Peter's. They said to say hello to you. I forgot to mention it before.
Resolution 24-168 is approved unanimously, 9-0. Thank you. Nick, while you're posing for pitches, I just want to say, I don't get a vote up here, but if I did, it would be 9 times I would vote yes for you. You are an asset to the city. I thank you for your many years of dedicated service and keeping us all safe. You are an exemplary employee, and the Port Authority is very lucky to have you. But like you said to me before, you're just a phone call away. So Councilman Boggiano is going to remember that. So Nick, the floor is yours.
Thank you, guys. I'll try to be quick. To the council, I prepared this, but I wish I could speak from the bottom of my heart. Everything is genuine though. I took my time writing it. So, you guys are all just off the top of my head. You guys are genuinely a class act and I love you all and I appreciate you all. And the sentiments that you felt about me I feel the same exact way about each and every one of you guys. I would take a bullet for you genuinely, and I appreciate all the support you guys gave me throughout. Not only I know some of you throughout my careers, but I'll keep this stuff out of it. But you definitely exemplify how government should work. From the police department standpoint, you guys gave your unwavering support to the Jersey City Police Department. I'll be forever thankful. You held us accountable though. When our guys did something wrong, you guys, told us. But when our guys did something right, you stood by our side. And even when it wasn't popular to stand by our cop side, you guys were there. Whenever a cop got hurt, every single one of you called me and checked on them and offered your prayer and support. Sometimes we were involved in critical incidents that went viral or had some negative attention, and you all were the first to stand besides us and support our cops, knowing that the vast majority of them do the right thing. And I think it's important that they do the right thing. And the reason why they do is because the vast majority of them are from Jersey City. We're born and raised in Jersey City, and being the most diverse mid-sized city in the country, you grow up differently. We respect each other. We treated each other, the way we would want to be treated or our families be treated. So that's why I truly believe we have the best police department in the country. These guys, every single day they risk their lives and they do the right thing. And I'll always support them. And sometimes even when they make mistakes, it's mistakes of the heart. I mean, just mistakes of the mind, not of the heart. They're trying to do the right thing. The vast majority of them anyway. So I want to thank my mom. We lost my dad a couple years ago, but my mom and dad did a great job with me, my brother, my sister. We're all of us are public servants. My sister's an agent, my brother's a trooper. And we genuinely believe in a noble cause and we think we're doing the right thing. We try to every single day. To my wife, she's my rock. She's been, she was with me all, we grew up together. She's been with me since we're 19 years old. My two kids, they're my pride and joy. If I ever talk to you, I'm always talking about them. I wish they could be born and raised in Jersey City, but for whatever reason, we want it better for them. But hopefully they turn out all right. But thank you guys. I really appreciate you. I'm generally a phone call away, and anything with the Port Authority, me, new kid I graduated with, Captain Kapinski's at the Port Authority, you got us. And thank you to my friends too. Timmy's always has my back. My friend Sonny. My family couldn't be here. My son had basketball, so he's going to the NBA. So he's got to. I love you guys. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
I didn't see him read from the paper, not one bit. So that was generally from the heart. All right. On to our regular order of business, on to our first reading ordinances. Item 3.1, City Ordinance 24-009 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City, adopting amendments to the Paulus Hook redevelopment plan and creating Block 11606 redevelopment plan. Item 3.2, City Ordinance 24-012 is an ordinance of the Municipal Council of the City of Jersey City adopting amendments to the Liberty Harbor North redevelopment plan regarding use and bulk standards on tax block 15907, also known as Block 24 of the redevelopment plan. And item 3.3, City Ordinance 24-013 is an ordinance supplementing Chapter 332, Vehicles and Traffic, Article 2, Traffic Regulations, Section 332-8, prohibited right turns on red signal to prohibit turns on red at all times at multiple locations in the proximity to schools and parks in the Heights neighborhood. Council members are going to be taking a vote on items 3.1 through 3.3. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson DeJeece,
Aye for introduction.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. Items 3.1 through 3.3 are approved unanimously, 9-0 for introduction. Okay, on to our first reading ordinances. Thank you. Second reading. You know what? I forgot to introduce you guys. I just promoted Amanda Bransky as my second deputy. So congratulate Amanda Bransky on her promotion.
Congratulations.
And she just corrected her clerk. So on the second reading ordinances, sometimes she treats me like I'm her son. Item 4.1, City Ordinance 24-007 is an ordinance naming the playground located at J. Owen Grundy Park, the Jeremy Farrell Playground, in honor of Jeremy Farrell. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Second.
Motion to close the public hearing on city ordinance. Oh, hold on. We have a speaker.
Sorry, I'm late. Sorry, I'm late. Al Harari. I just want to say that anything we do for Jeremy Farrell is a plus. He was a great guy. Okay, and just loved this city. Thank you.
This is still a public hearing on city ordinance 24-007.
Motion.
Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, come up to the podium. Please state your name for the record. We have a motion to close the public hearing on ordinance 24-007 by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on city ordinance 24-007, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano.
Aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeJeece. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-007. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-007, Councilperson Ridley.
I just want to say that Jeremy is missed. He was a great person, just as Al said. He was always there to offer his advice and speak with us even after leaving the city and no longer being Corporation Counsel. I will miss our conversations, and I think this is a fitting honor. I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Prinzary.
So one of the first things Jeremy did when we came on, or I came on as a new council person, was put together a booklet outlining everything that you needed to know as a council person. He was the first person that ever did that actually gave us a tool book. That's how much he respected the work that we did and knew that we would be good partners working together. He's definitely missed as a colleague and as a friend, and it will be nice to be able to go to the park and think about him. I vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Baggiano.
Jeremy Farrell was a good friend, and when he was in the law department, he was so very helpful on so many issues. And I'll tell you something, I miss him. So I vote aye.
Councilperson Saleh.
I'm proud to have called Jeremy Farrell a friend, a mentor. He, I met him right after the mayor won his election, and I clerked for him in the law department, and when I became a councilman, he assisted me, with some of the institutional knowledge that you would need in terms of, running a city and where conflicts have been, and, what did we try to do to resolve it. And, Jeremy was also a member of this beautiful community, and he worked very hard for Jersey City, but most importantly, he was a father. And I remember my last conversation with him, and I asked him how he felt, having a new child, and he said it was exhausting, but he literally found a new love of his life. Instead of politics, he would run back home to be with his kid, and he had so much love for his child, and it's so sad to see him go. And I hope that, after we rename this park, on his behalf that his baby will get to play there one day. And with that, I vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Yeah, thank you to the council president for this ordinance, and I will proudly vote aye. You know, Jeremy deeply cared about Jersey City. You could see that from his work with, you know, then Councilman Fulop to Mayor Fulop to the MUA to Newport, and you know, having this playground right on the waterfront where, you know, his child and wife are going to be able to go and play and experience and see that fitting honor is really the least we can do. So I proudly vote aye.
Thank you. Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
He's a great man who cared deeply about this city. I thank him for all of his contributions and for treating the council with respect and always bringing us up to speed on projects that were going on to make sure that we understood everyone's perspective. This playground would be a great honor to him and his family. I vote aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
That was a gentle giant, you know, Jeremy. So I'm going to give you a real quick 20-second story about Jeremy. When we were first campaigning back in 2012, I didn't know how to publicly speak in front of people. So I was always speaking with my hands like this, right? And Jeremy said, I was like this. So let me tell you guys something. Jeremy said, what are you doing? You got to put that away. And I didn't know that, you know, there was a certain way of speaking, of hand gestures. And, you know, that guy put me downstairs and said, hey, this is how we speak. And he kind of like coached me, you know, through that. I will never forget that, man. You know, he was an amazing person. And for meeting him, for the time that I know, for the time that I've known him, man, he truly became family, man. So, you know, the news of his death kind of like rocked everybody up here. And, but we definitely miss him. I 100% vote aye.
Council President Waterman.
Guy, and I want to say Jeremy just was a giant. It's a void, you know, different places you go through the city, and if you ever been with Jeremy to those places, you feel his absence. But I just believe he's just looking down on us, trying to get us through these difficult times because he really had compassion and he really cared about people. One thing about Jeremy, he always had a way of telling you something without you thinking that it was your idea. That's a gift he had. And so that I will truly miss from Jeremy. So with that, I proudly vote aye.
City Ordinance 24-007 is adopted, unanimously 9-0. That honor is well deserved too. Jeremy was, like Council President said, a gentle giant, one of the nicest guys I ever met, ever had the pleasure of working with. And like Councilperson Soleil said, I hope his child is able to play in that playground one day. It's a great honor, well deserved. Okay, on to our next second reading ordinance, item 4.2, City Ordinance 24-010. Is an ordinance amending Chapter 69, Special Improvement Districts, Article 2, Central Avenue Special Improvement District. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record. You're speaking on the ordinance, sir? Okay. Just give me 1 second. Hey, you're ready.
Tyler Crosby.
Okay.
Good evening, Council President Waterman and members of the City Council. My name is Tyler Crosby. I am the director for the Central Avenue Special Improvement District. I have a statement from our Board of Trustees that I wanted to read into the record tonight. Dear Council President Waterman and members of the City Council, on behalf of its 450 members, the Central Avenue SID Board of Trustees kindly advises the governing body to approve Ordinance number 24-010, which will amend the CACID City Ordinance to remove the outdated Sunset Clause provision. As Jersey City's first special improvement district in 1992, Central Avenue stakeholders initially inserted the sunset clause to provide an added layer of security that the program would work as intended. By 2024, Central Avenue is the only SID program in Jersey City and possibly the entire state of New Jersey which still has a sunset clause provision. It is no longer used with improvement district programs as other mechanisms are already in place to ensure accountability to its members, including Board of Trustee elections, public hearings on annual budgets, annual audits, and enabling legislation enacted by the governing body. After over 30 years of providing outstanding supplementary services to our district and members continuously voting to extend the SID program, we believe it is now time to remove the antiquated regulation and the unnecessary administrative burden it causes. We thank Councilman Saleh for preparing the amendment to the ordinance and the other members of the City Council who vote in support of this amendment. CASID members look forward to continuing investing in Jersey City and our commercial corridor for many years to come. Respectfully submitted, President Gilbert Mendez and the Board of Trustees. Thank you very much.
Thank you. This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-010. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium. And I see Phil Carrington.
Good evening. This special improvement district and all of them, I'm having a time in my life trying to understand exactly what is the need for them. I'm not sure of this particular one, but the one for Martin Luther King, I see no need for it. I'm trying hard as I possibly can. And as a result of this, Black folks are losing their properties. Why? Because this is an additional tax on top of the tax that have already risen. For example, I still own. I used to pay taxes on this old building for $100,000 9 years ago. It's now assessed for $600,000. So I'm paying taxes much more for the same old property.
Mr. Carrington, we have to make sure you stay on the subject of Central Avenue.
Central Avenue Special Improvement District, all of them are quite the same. Is it not? Therefore, my question is with the Special Improvement District. It doesn't have to be this particular one. My concern is that there's no need for them. And I'm hearing people come here complaining or stating what should have been done for them over and over. All they're doing is adding taxes onto everybody's property. The Special Improvement District, whether it's Central Avenue or Martin, is the same thing. The process is the same thing, which is an additional set of tax onto it. And I don't see the need for this one or for any of them. I need ORS to be disbanded. I can't get clarity, and I'm not comfortable with them or anyone. There is no need for a special improvement district. There is no need. At the beginning, might have been. Jersey City is booming with real estate and development. There is no need for them. That is my viewpoint. Good night.
Hi, Phil.
This is still a public hearing on City Ordinance 24-010. Any member of the public still wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion.
Oof.
Second.
Thank you for that. We have a motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-010 by Councilperson Rivera, seconded by Councilperson Saleh. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-010, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-010. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-010, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano, Councilperson Saleh,
Today's a great day for the Central Avenue SID. I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
I don't know if the sunset was originally a Michael Youn idea. My very first meeting with him was about putting sunsets into legislation. But I think at this point, 30 years in, it's a great success and we feel very confident in moving forward. So I proudly vote aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise,
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-010 is adopted unanimously 9-0. On to our last second reading ordinance, item 4.3, City Ordinance 24-011 is an ordinance approving technical amendments to ordinances 22-084 and 23-103 to correct typographical errors. This is a public hearing on this ordinance. Any member of the public wishing to be heard, please come up to the podium and state your name for the record.
Motion. Oh,
Let me just make sure. She is looking like she's not. Okay, so we have a motion to close the public hearing on 24-011 made by Councilperson Saleh. May I have a second?
Second.
Second by Councilperson Ridley. On the motion to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-011, Councilperson Ridley, Councilperson Prinzary, Councilperson Bajano, Councilperson Saleh,
aye.
Councilperson Solomon,
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore,
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise, Councilperson Rivera,
Aye.
and Council President Waterman. Motion carries 9-0 to close the public hearing on City Ordinance 24-011. For final consideration and adoption of City Ordinance 24-011, Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Bajano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise. Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. City Ordinance 24-011 is finally adopted unanimously 9-0. Okay, moving on to our public request for a hearing. Please pay attention to your agendas. I'm going to be calling the number and the first name of the individual. With that being said, our first speaker, 5.1, Laverne. I didn't see Laverne
Yeah,
today.
she's not here.
Okay. Next speaker, 5.2, Gina.
That's here.
Good evening. As always, I want to thank the council for their time, attention, and advocacy. We appreciate you. I also want to thank y'all for, just as a side note, for passing the appointment of Mark Burns as the ACO director. He's got a fantastic reputation, in the animal rescue community. And we're all really excited that he's starting, that he started this week. So we're grateful for y'all to vote him in. So thank you for that. I want to move back to a topic that's very important to me. That's mental health crisis intervention in the city and the way that we police our residents. I want to remind us all that about a week ago marks 6 months since Andrew Washington was murdered in his kitchen. And I know that there's a lot of work being done to put a mental health crisis intervention program into place. And these things don't happen overnight, and it's got to be a step-by-step process. That said, I'm still curious as to where the de-escalation training is for our police folks. I came to y'all with a statistic a while ago that basic de-escalation training has shown to reduce officer injuries by, on average, 36%. So it is a no-brainer, regardless of how long it takes us to put together a mental health crisis response team. There's no reason why we shouldn't be training our officers who are currently policing us on the streets in this city and get them trained in de-escalation tactics. It protects them and it protects our citizens. I've heard Director Shea start throwing the word de-escalation around, but I have not heard specifics about where that training is taking place. Is it the 500-hour training? Is it one of the certified trainings that we all know has worked in other cities? The specifics are very important, and I have not heard those. If y'all have heard them, I'm definitely interested to hear what you've learned. I want to thank you for continuing to hold the office, the Public Safety Office, accountable, and I'm asking that we continue to do it. Last 2 weeks ago, y'all approved $1.8 million, for example, in tech and communications expenditures. This week, they're asking for 2.7 million more. I want to thank Councilman Rivera for your comments during the caucus meeting on Monday when you spoke up about browned out homes and response times. This is what we're asking for. We're asking for accountability for the tax dollars, the $208 million that are budgeted for the public affairs office in our city. Thank you.
Next speaker, 5.3, Tina.
Tina's not here.
Okay, 5.4, Edward Perkins.
He's not here neither.
Okay, 5.5, Philip Carrington.
He's not here neither. Oh, I thought he said good night. I thought you left. I apologize, Phil. I thought you left.
Council President, members of the City Council. Again, I'm Phil Carrington. Looking back in retrospect to last week, I was very offended by the statements that was made by these white Jews. I think the position that them and the Palestinians has brought here continuously does not fit. But anyway, dealing with their selfishness, they came on with most of their problems were in a white plastic bag, and they're saying that they would leave Jersey City because of the threats of the statement that was made. None of those statements or none of the things that was said, those people's heads were bandaged or there was no cast. And so that was really petty. These other people are talking about bombs dropping on them and they're dying. And so they're very insensitive. I'm very proud to be as Black as I am. So nobody can say that I am part of Hamas or support of Hamas. Nobody can say I'm part of the Jews. So I'm too Black to be with anymore because they both don't like us anyway. But that being said, the Hamas is indeed, yes, a terrorist organization. And of course, they only keep speaking about October 7th, which means that they're very insensitive to what's happening after that. And both sides are just imbalanced. However, South Africa brought the Israeli government before the World Court on December 29th, charging them with genocide. In January 26th, the World Court came back and with a statement saying it is plausible that genocide has occurred, genocide is occurring, or genocide will occur. In other words, they agreed with the South African. The South Africans basically say that the action of the Israelis is state-sponsored terrorism. State-sponsored terrorism is considered a pogrom. The term pogrom or state-sponsored terrorism is the same thing the Jews brought against Hitler. So you can arguably say, since that they're now found as being as terroristic as Hamas, that the Jews who support Benjamin Netanyahu as of January 26th is the new Hitler of the 21st century. They engaged in genocide. I'm very offended by that. I'm not going to call them bad. I'm just going to call it human beings because we see last week people running behind a truck in the desert, hungry, naked, trying to get food. You drop a bomb on them people and try to tell us they are bothering you? This is just really inhumane. And so y'all need to clean up your dirty act. It is very hurtful. On my part, the worst thing they can say with those signs of desecration of property. I own some property in Martin Luther King Drive. People drop things on my building, my side, they urinate, do all kinds of things. I'm not going to run because I call the police when I can, but that's no reason for them to bring this silly complaint to this body asking for assistance.
5.6, Albert.
Good evening, Council. I had a big decision tonight whether to come here and speak to all of you people or to go home and build an ark, but I did happen to make it here. Usually I write something, usually I read something. Tonight I'm going to read something that was written by the Hoboken City Council because I feel that it's important that it be in the record. A vote on the conflict in the Middle East would be inherently divisive and counterproductive for all concerned. Therefore, the Hoboken City Council has unanimously decided to put forward the following statement regarding the conflict in the Middle East. We, as representatives of the city of Hoboken, stand resolutely against all forms of bigotry, hatred, discrimination, including anti-Semitism and Islamophobia. As a diverse and inclusive community, we embrace and celebrate our differences while fostering an environment of mutual respect and understanding. Recent events have underscored the importance of reaffirming our commitment to combating prejudice and promoting tolerance. We unequivocally condemn any acts or expressions of hatred directed toward individuals or communities based on their religious beliefs or nationalities. As leaders in the community, we hear clearly the expressions of pain of residents of Hoboken and beyond, and we want to ensure that there is no spillover of this conflict into Hoboken. We pledge to continue working tirelessly to promote diversity, educate our residents about the importance of mutual respect, and ensure that Hoboken remains a safe and welcoming place for all. Together, let us strive to build a more compassionate society where every individual is valued and respected. I gave you a copy of this because I felt it was important, and I think that what was said here is something that I've been asking for the last 4 or 5 months. All we want is to live together in this city comfortably and safely.
Thank you. 5.7, Charlene.
You're welcome. I just have a quick PSA, if I might. To all pedestrians watching tonight's hearing, I would like to suggest that if they like wearing dark clothing, that they consider white umbrellas, honestly, so you can see them at corners. Because a night like tonight is pretty hard to drive and see a pedestrian. Firstly, I'd like to say good evening, Council President and Council members. Thank you, Councilman Gilmore, for responding to my email about the historic preservation process that we're currently undergoing about the master plan element. I'm awaiting all others to respond to my email, if you would be so kind. Certainly, I would love to know what your position is and what your interest in historic preservation is. Most of you were here back in April of 2018 and supported the adoption of a new demolition ordinance in an unanimous vote of 8-0 after 90 minutes of public comment that slowed and even halted the knockdowns of historic buildings worthy of preservation. Even the mayor acted by his issuing an executive order that halted nearly all demolitions until the lawyers filed suit. And then the council initiated the ordinance that eventually protected historic properties or had them under review for a 40-day period of time. So what happened next is the ordinance was challenged in Superior Court by a property owner wishing to demo a house on Sherman Place. And in July of last year, the court ruled that the ordinance that you had all voted on was in conflict with the municipal land use law that only allowed the Historic Preservation Commission to make determinations about whether a property is historic and not the officer at the Historic Preservation Office. And it was only the commission that could deny a demolition along with the zoning officer. So, okay, demolition of valuable housing continues to be a problem throughout the city. Wards A, B, and F are still those areas that are being targeted by developers for these larger properties, deeper properties, and knockdowns. So, wow, that was quick. Anyway, what I ask you to do, all of you, continue please to press the law department to rewrite this ordinance and get
Sorry,
it
I'm
correct.
sorry. Your time is up.
I thank you.
Thank you so much. Speaker 5.8, Nerys. No, okay. 5.9, Yale. Okay. 5.10, Kevin Weller.
Lines are back. Hello. I'm feeling a little political tonight. Let's talk about the mayoral race. I just met with former New Jersey Governor and former Woodbridge Mayor Jim McGreevey after more than 10 people contacted me to make sure that happened. Brian Stack from Union City and several Jersey City Democratic Committee people are in his camp already. Similarly, I've been asked to meet with Bill O'Day, which will happen within a few days. I remain open to meeting with Madam President Waterman and Councilman Solomon should he choose to run. I've even been asked to run for mayor. My middle initial is C, so KC for JC, or even KC for RC for rent control. I have confirmed press and at least 2 tenant organization endorsements and more than a few volunteers. Should I make that move? I believe very strongly the tenants of Portside Towers will choose our next mayor. Can you imagine a Portside administration? Given everything we've managed to figure out, might be best if you just join us now. Some of us attended the Jersey City Democratic Committee meeting just last week. Councilman Gilmore and Soleil were there. We brought the rent control issue to the floor of the JCDC. It was said that the renters feel abandoned by our party. This was met with applause. We won the room, and that room is the heart of the future of the Democratic Party in our city. Then what happened? Congressman Menendez, Senator McKnight and McCurgy, Assemblywomen Stamato and Ramirez all publicly endorsed our cause in front of the entire JCDC. Each one of these leaders of our party pledged their support, shared their personal cell phone numbers and email addresses, and met with a number of us on the spot. I contacted them all the very next day. McCurgy's team reached out right away. Stamato too. I owe them both a follow-up. I hope to hear from the others soon. I want to close by addressing Acting Corporation Counsel Brittany Murray. We did see the letter from the city's outside counsel about discussing litigation here. I, of course, agree. She should not do that. That letter very narrowly defined what should not be done. Your lawyers were careful to limit what you should not discuss to litigation. They did not, however, endorse refusing to read the law at the request of both renters, who should be protected by the law, and 2 sitting elected council members at an open public meeting. Renters who are not subject to any litigation will continue to ask you to read the law out loud. If tenants or landlords are harmed in part because Brittany Murray is actively engaging in concealment of what should offer protection to renters and constructive notice to landlords, there may be unintended liability. To borrow a phrase spoken by Peter Baker in this very room, this concealment may be at her own legal peril, for we are all initiating investigations which cannot be stopped by anyone in this room.
5.11, Jessica.
Good evening, City Council. I think you all know by this point that on October 19th, the Rent Leveling Board issued its ruling that both portside buildings have always been subject to rent control. In their ruling, the board ordered a 6-year look back for our first petitions in 2022. So what's happened in the over 140 days since the board's ruling? Pretty much nothing. We are still overpaying to the tune of $1 million per month. We're still being harassed by equity into signing illegal lease renewals at illegal rates. We've not received rollback rates or rebates. We have heard nothing from the landlord-tenant office since January 5th, over 2 months ago. So let's discuss the pressing issue of non-compliance with the Faulkner Act, specifically regarding the landlord-tenant office's disregard for a rent control board decision. This matter not only affects individual constituents, but also the integrity and effectiveness of our local government. The Faulkner Act was designed to offer a flexible, efficient framework for municipal government. When any part of our local government, such as the landlord-tenant office, fails to adhere to its directives or the decisions of bodies like the Rent Control Board, it not only undermines this framework, but also erodes public trust and confidence in our governance. Legal precedents underscore that violations of the Faulkner Act can lead to judicial intervention, including court orders mandating compliance, invalidation of non-compliant actions, and even personal liability for officials involved. Beyond the legal ramifications, such violations risk significant reputational damage, diminishing the public's trust in their elected officials and municipal bodies. Ignoring the need for an investigation into this matter is not a strategy that will benefit our city in the long run. Inaction could potentially invite lawsuits, necessitate remedial measures, and result in the invalidation of council decisions, creating a cycle of inefficiency and mistrust that could hinder our progress on other fronts. As representatives of this city and its people, it is your duty to ensure that every arm of our local government operates within the bounds of the law and in alignment with the principles of fairness, transparency, and accountability. Launching an investigation into the non-compliance issue at hand is not only a step forward to rectifying this issue with the landlord-tenant office, but also a declaration of your commitment of upholding the standards of governance our constituents expect and deserve. I urge the council to consider the long-term impacts of inaction and to recognize the opportunity we all have to strengthen our municipal governance through decisive action. Please, I ask you, as I've asked you before, initiate an investigation into the LTO, the landlord-tenant office. Demand the LTO issue a correction. The look back is the year to 2016, not 2017, as was previously communicated. Demand the LTO to obtain 2016 leases from Equity Residential. And please, don't look the other way. Don't let administration lawyers tell you this process is opaque or complicated when it is not.
$5.12, Rhiannon.
Thank you. Good evening, council members. My name is Rhiannon McAwee and I'm speaking to you for the third time. I respectfully ask you, council members, to use any and all powers at your disposal to assure the implementation of the Rent Control Board decision of October 2023. It seems the council could launch an investigation into why the board decision has not been implemented. Furthermore, it seems there is selective enforcement of the Ordinance 260. I worry that there's a perception that we are affluent complainers with nothing better to do with our time, and I want to assure you that that is far from the reality. Following the birth of our daughter, my husband and I chose Portside Towers because it's known in the area to be a more affordable rental option, or at least it was in 2020, more so than some of the newer luxury buildings. Little did we know that 4 years later, due to the egregious and illegal rent hikes, we would be paying half our income on rent. Why is it important to us to live in the area? Some folks might ask, why don't you just move? Well, we work in the area. Both my husband and I work within 1.5 miles of where we live. We value community and what it means to be part of a community, to live in, to work in, to spend money supporting local businesses and making connections with those around us. As an educator, I think it's important to be able to live close to where you work. It means that I can be there for my students, to attend evening events, support them when they have after-school performances, for example. Mind you, this isn't just my opinion. Just this past week, I presented at a national conference on affordable housing policies and practices to attract and retain teachers in the wake of the national teacher shortage crisis. Research shows that when teachers can't live close to where they work, long commutes lead to stress and burnout. We should care about the people in our communities, and we should be taking this issue seriously. Equity has clearly price gouged its tenants, flagrantly ignoring the Rent Board's decision. You may recall from last time the threatening overtone of their email promising, if and when we prevail in court, your subsequent increases will be based on the market as they have in the past. Meanwhile, council members, there's been a new development. A friend of a Portside tenant had looked into moving into the building and received this response, and I quote, "Even though you're unable to push the lease start date to your ideal move-in timeframe in early March, you would still be locking in a rent-controlled apartment, which would help to minimise rent increases upon your annual renewals." Equity is making a mockery of the Rent Control Board decision. It's making a mockery of City Council and everyone else here because they don't truly believe that it's rent controlled and that anything will ever be done. Please, council members, prove them wrong and do the right thing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. 5.13, Mark. Mark here? No? Okay. 5.14, David.
Making all the noise. Good evening. I'm Dr. David Mason. This is my daughter, Adeline. This is my first time speaking directly to the council. I'd like to talk about courage here in front of my daughter, specifically the courage not to do what is easy. Often the easiest thing to do is nothing. It's easy to wait for problems to just disappear on their own, easier, certainly, than to stand behind the few. If there was a David and if there was a Goliath, I've got to think about Joe, standing in the background, waiting to see what would happen. It would arguably be terrifying to walk up next to David, link arms, and stare down the giant. To quote Cloud Atlas, Joe would have been one small drop in the entire ocean. But what is an ocean if not a multitude of drops? Easier still is the prospect of not doing anything when doing something might cost us effort, connections, opportunities, like the opportunity that comes from a powerful and wealthy political ally. It's not at all surprising, I think, that DC lobbyists have the kind of power that they do, but when their ask is to do nothing at all, who indeed can refuse? Like getting paid to stay at home watching TV. It's a great offer. I'm a great lover of the 90s TV series The West Wing. There's a great line. It's not the battles we lose that bothers me. It's the ones we don't even suit up for. We can't do what's right. We can't lock arms with David and stand up to Goliath without the courage to bear the brunt of possible blow. Councilpersons, to my mind, what my neighbors have been asking for actually since 2018, as I understand it, is courage. What I'm asking for tonight is courage. You can be partners, and none of us need stand alone. In the remarks I wrote for the last meeting, I asked, why is this hard? How can it be that 4 months have passed since the board ruling, and yet to this day and minute, no rents have been corrected, no stolen money has been returned, and rents are still being raised because equity feels it's been given permission, both by the absence of enforcement and by being told directly that 4% increases are allowed. And I remind you all that until the rates are corrected, a 4% increase from 4,500 to 4,680, for example, when it's supposed to be 3,500, is not a 4% increase, it's a 34% increase. Any increase is illegal until rates are corrected and all appropriate processes are followed for controlled increases. What we're asking for is courage. Step up. If you're waiting for us to just go away, it ain't gonna happen. So jump on in. There's a game being played here. We all know what's right. The math is not hard to figure out. What's hard is to have the courage to help us make it stop. Goliath wants you to keep doing nothing, and we know it's easy, but have courage. Get in it with us, and we'll get your backs just as you get ours. Thank you.
Thank you. 5.15, Eric.
Good evening, council members. Equity claims they care deeply about their tenants, but I know you heard countless stories from tenants proving the contrary. My family have also suffered from the total lack of care. We have 2 young girls who are allergic to mold, and one of them also suffers from asthma. Through the years, we had water intrusions and water leakages several times and in different places, and nothing was done to address these issues efficiently. This is why we decided to hire an external auditor to check for the general state of our apartment. The result was quite upsetting and included black mold that had been painted over previously. The auditor recommended several fixes. It was back in November, and to this day, we are still trying to get equity to complete all of them. We've been promised it would be fixed within a week every time we reached out. This is an urgent health matter that directly affects our children. So we created a C-Click fix ticket and had a city inspector review our bathroom. He could confirm that the caulk in the bathroom had visible mold and that our continuous cleaning and applying of mold products will not fix the problem. Since equity, I've previously just added cheap, non-mold resistant caulk on top of existing mold. I had to remove and replace this myself, and I found both mold and humidity behind. It should not be this way. We have buckling tiles with cracks in the growth that probably hides more mold. We don't know, and we will not know until equity complete the recommended steps. So we are not impressed with equity's care for the tenants. Their actions speak louder than words. And again, we see that the only thing they really care about is their profit. Thank you for listening. Please enforce the ordinance.
Thank you. Derek, 5.16, Derek.
Good evening, council. This is my second city council meeting, my first time speaking. So thank you for your time. I first moved to Jersey City about 12 years ago. I've been at Portside since 2020. I genuinely love living in this city, which is why I feel so strongly about this topic, as do my neighbors. I felt compelled to speak after attending my first meeting in early February and thought it might be worthwhile to share my perspective and my perception of how that first meeting went from the perspective of a first timer. In that meeting, similar to this evening, I stood here to support and listen to my neighbors who detailed exactly how our landlord is in violation of Ordinance 260 and how they're completely disregarding the decision by the Rent Leveling Board. This is not news to you. You've been hearing it over and over again. The facts of which are not ambiguous. There's no interpretation here. What came as an absolute shock to me as a first-time attendee was witnessing the seeming indifference from the council. I sat in that back corner over there and I waited for all the speakers to finish, just anticipating some kind of response. I mean, the preparation, the emotion into this, how important this is, there was some kind of response coming, surely. And then the meeting just kind of ended. The silence was deafening, and I think it spoke a lot, at least to me. It was just, surprising to me to see that so much effort and time was being spent and met with silence. To be honest, I left that meeting with more questions than answers. My first question was, why has there been such a lack of action from the city officials thus far? The city was initially made aware of this issue way back in 2018. That's a lot of time and opportunity to do something official, make a corrective measure. Why did it take a legal complaint filed by citizens to compel the city to take action? The presence of which does not preclude the council, the mayor, or the landlord-tenant office from taking action even now. The ordinance and laws of the city should not be enforced or applied selectively, as it very much seems they are now. So my question is, why is that? Another question is, why is the landlord-tenant office unwilling or unable to take action? Inquiring minds might be especially interested in understanding the motives of the individuals that occupy that office, who seem eager to side with deep-pocketed corporate landlords over the average citizens of the city. My questions are not intended to make a point, to simply make a point, and they are not rhetorical. I look forward to a response, an update, an acknowledgement, a wink. Anything that is signaling to us that we're being heard, because I did not get that last time, and I hope that was just an anomaly and it might be different tonight. Thank you for your time.
5.17, Carol.
Good evening, council members. I recently came across an article discussing landlords' opposition to rent control, asserting that they should be able to raise the rents as high as they want if the market will bear it, unquote. The sentiment, while seemingly innocuous, carries profound implications that warrant our attention. So let's dissect this statement. Firstly, the use of should. Should, by definition, is used to say or suggest that something is proper, reasonable, or the best thing to do. Nothing about subjecting individuals to as much financial stress as possible sounds reasonable to me. People, not profits, should be first. Second, as high as they want. The notion of raising rents as high as they want begs the question, why? We know why, because they want to, because they want more money. It's like a child that wants to eat as much candy as they want. And when we ask that child why, they say, well, because I want to eat as much as I want to. Picture a scenario where a landlord driven solely by profit motives has the authority to raise rents as much as they want. Families are already struggling to make ends meet. My neighbor would be here, but she's a single mom of two. And when faced with the decision to stay or leave Portside when her renewal came up, she chose to stay because her younger daughter didn't want to leave her school or friends. So lastly, the phrase, if the market will bear it, is particularly egregious. This reductionist approach angers me to no end. It reduces tenants to mere economic units devoid of humanity and emotion. Inside of every market are people, human beings. It's easy to take advantage of people when you hide behind the words like market. But what if I said, quote, landlords should be able to raise rents as much as they want if the person can bear it? Or what if I said landlords should be able to raise rents as much as they want if the family can bear it? Or how about this one? Landlords should be able to raise rents as much as they want if the single mom of two can bear it. How does that sound to your ears? Behind every rent hike is a story of hardship. A single parent working multiple jobs to put food on the table, a recent graduate drowning in student debt, or a senior citizen on a fixed income forced to choose between medication and rent. Should we subject these individuals to further financial strain because a market dictates it? We are basically saying, let's push people to their limits financially and emotionally. Let's subject someone to as much physical strain until they can bear no more. It's like saying, let's knowingly push that single mom to the brink of financial ruin. By framing the issues in terms of abstract economic principles, saying things like the market, we risk dehumanizing the very individuals affected by these policies. Are we willing to build a world where the well-being of our people takes a backseat to profit margins? As we deliberate on rent control policies, let us not succumb to the allure of profit at the expense of humanity. Let's instead strive to build a society where the dignity and security of every individual is safeguarded. Thank you.
5.18, Gabby.
Dear council members, my name is Gabby Banwaite and I've been a resident in Jersey City since 2011, and this is my first time speaking in front of you. My first stint at Portside was from 2011 to 2014, a starting rent of $2,300, an ending rent of $3,000, triple-digit increases, reasons increased operation costs. My second stint at Portside Towers, 2017 to current. Starting rent $3,125, as of yesterday raised to $4,022. Within a 13-year period, that's an 87% increase. I was under the impression that given the rent levelling board's determination, there would be no increase for 2024. However, the rent was increased, Portside's blanket statement. At this time, no adjustment will be made until legal proceedings have concluded, so your renewal offer stands as is. You notice the words increased operating costs no longer come into play. The biggest impediment to change is the statement, if it's not broken, don't fix it. The problem with that statement is people accept the status quo or are scared to challenge. However, today, you see people who want that change standing behind me for a system that is broken and an organisation that has been violating rent control conditions for years. As council members, you have a duty of care to help its constituents. That's us. We request the council to initiate an investigation to stop illegal rental rises. Thank you very much.
5.19, Henry.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to deviate a little bit from the rent control, but it's very close related with the subject we are talking about. It's something with the chapters 218, multiple dwelling, Article 4, withholding units from rental market. Under the section 218-13 is occupancy required. Under this law is amended last year, Ordinance 23-047. It says all units shall be rented and occupied by a tenant within 60 days after the end of the preceding tenancy. Under the section 218-15, violations and penalty. For the second offense, a fine of not less than $100 or more must be put. So this is something that I just do research today for the Portside Tower. For the apartment East Tower 1810 is on the market 196 days. Listed on August 22nd, 2023. Apartment East Tower 2612 on the market 223 days. Listed on July 27, 2023. West Tower 318 on the market 252 days. Listed on July 24, 2023. West Tower 706 listed on October 14, 2023 on the market 144 days. West Tower 1210 listed September 27, 2023 on the market 168 days. So the day on market and the vacancy, if you take out 2 months, notice it's still if it's over 120 days, it still violates the law here. So the signal I'm trying to say is that you have the law, you have the mean because you can get it from the rent roll. The rent roll have the information that you had to put in there. When is the last vacancy happen? When is the new tenants in there? So you will be able to calculate how many days that is vacated. So you had to follow the law, you had the means to do it, and this will bring down the rent because the people doing the comparison, they are looking, hey, this house, this apartment renting for this price, I get a good deal because of my price is lower than what I did. So basically this will raise the rent higher than it's supposed to be. It basically artificially raise the rent that we are supposed to pay. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you.
5.20, Tasha.
Good evening, council members. My name is Tasha Sethi. Today marks my second appearance before you all. I ask for each one of you throughout my speech to keep in mind continually the thought of what side of history do you each want to be on? As you know, our landlord, Equity Residential, has never met the criteria in Jersey City's ordinance for any approved rent increases. On October 19th of last year, the city's own rent leveling board confirmed this. Further, Equity has never been sanctioned by Jersey City for any illegal rent increases to date. As many of you may know, Equity filed a lawsuit against Jersey City and federal court back in November of last year, amongst its ongoing battle with portside tenants. Equity wants you to believe that they are the victim and that the rent leveling administration decisions should be reversed because, among other baseless and frivolous arguments in their complaint, there has been a violation of federal law, including a violation of the Fifth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Equity attempts to argue that the buildings and the right to rent them at market prices is also a form of property that has been taken without compensation. However, let me bring your attention to the fact that investigative reports over the last 2 years have suggested that the nation's biggest corporate landlords, which includes Equity, are instead raising rents according to a national software. So this is not market prices. This is from an article by Patch. The Justice Department is now investigating this matter and has argued that the software has used a centralized pricing algorithm to inflate prices, costing renters millions of dollars. This is a reminder to you all of the bad actor equity is, and if no action is taken by the administration bodies of Jersey City, there is no doubt that a precedent will be set in regards to other corporate landlords in Jersey City. While we know you have no power in the federal court's decision in Equity's case against Jersey City, you have power here today as City Council to help enforce the Rent Leveling Board's decision. We Equity residents continue to be presented with illegal rent increases, and we have watched our neighbors become homeless. We have watched as our building continually cuts corners on everything from the safety of our residents to daily building code violations. This is the time that you need to ask yourself, what side of history do you want to be on? And further ask yourself, when will the rent increases start to affect you? And when will you receive a rent increase so high that you can no longer stay in Jersey City? With all due respect, we earnestly request your assistance in compelling Equity Residential to comply. We ask that you faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all of the duties you have been elected to do as council members. Thank you.
5.21, Daniel.
Good evening, City Council members. This is my third appearance before the council, and Portside residents, as you know, have been attending City Council members meetings since November of 2022 to get rent control enforced at Portside Towers. On October 19th, 2023, the Rent Leveling Board determined unanimously that both the east and west towers of both 155 Washington Street and 100 Warren Street were subject to rent control. They also made a legally binding determination that rents must be rolled back to 2016 rates, so 6 years before the first illegal rent petition in 2022. This has not happened. In fact, Portside is still increasing rents illegally. They've distorted the facts by increasing rents from their current levels based on the CPI, which they have no authority to do because they haven't reduced rents to 2016 rates. They aren't allowed to increase rents until they have reduced rents to 2016 rates. It's pretty simple. They can only increase rents if they've met all of the provisions of the rent control ordinance, which they have not, because they have not reduced rents to 2016 rates, as determined by the Rent Leveling Board's determination. The decision is not stayed, so pending litigation is completely irrelevant here. The Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations, under the leadership of Director Shirone Richardson, administers and enforces the rent control ordinance, so they're in charge of these recalculations. What does it take for a 6-year look back to be enforced? We have a law that has to be followed here. The Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations isn't following it. And council members, it is your duty to investigate the neglect by the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations under the Faulkner Act. You can do that. You can play a part in getting the laws followed. What does it take to get an investigation? It shouldn't be this hard for city officials to follow the law. Please investigate. You can help us by investigating the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations. It's not that complicated, and it shouldn't be this hard to do so to have an investigation. Thank you.
5.22, Danville.
Evening. Our speeches at the last meeting got quite some attention in the press. There even was a quote from my last speech saying I'm claiming the process to be corrupt. Let me substantiate my claim with some facts. The online form for the landlord registration was altered quietly in 23. Important mandatory information have been removed. The same person who did this is now trying to change the look-back period for the rent rollback calculation in favor of our landlord. Equity even was allowed to submit a partially filed form on paper, despite electronic filing is mandatory. Rainer Henten, who was a well-respected lawyer before taking position as director of the Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations, initially confirmed the rent control status of our buildings back in 22. Suddenly, she changes her mind and reverses course completely. Finally, she was removed just when an investigation into rent control issue was announced. A subject matter expert was replaced by a pastor with no housing experience whatsoever. who does not even write us anymore for plausibility deniability when laws are not followed. Plausible deniability. Brittany Murray refused to answer public questions from tenants. We talked about it. Social media comments on Fulop's posts are still being censored. There's so much more. I need to keep it brief. All of this becomes even more interesting when we look at the ties of Mayor Fulop to the investors and mega landlords. He receives support from a super PAC called Coalition for Progress, which receives donations from major developers in our city, including Iron State, for example. Fulop was holding a fundraiser for that super PAC with investors on the luxury yacht of Frank Quetella, Landmark, was very tight close to Iron State. Fulop did receive a generous discount for this event of about 95% for the regular rental cost for the ship. City contracts were awarded to developers via shell companies in return for donations. On top of that, the city gets $2 million per year out of the pilot scheme program, perhaps to look the other way, while we are overcharged by $12 million every year with illegal rents. We discovered so many more details on this all, I need to keep it brief. Are they all related to our case? We can't say for sure, but we can all think it together. Let's do that. Yes, money and the desire for limitless power. Oh, sorry, I thought it so hard it came out of my mouth. But there's an easy solution for that. President Waterman, start the investigation you promised us 8 weeks ago. We are still waiting.
.23, Sonia.
Good evening. Why so much luxury housing in a city where most can't afford it? Titled Jersey City Today last week. We too asked you these kinds of questions many times. As we have never gotten any answers, we can only keep asking. But first, a quote from the article. At the same time, it has brought many together to fight for their place in the city and to hold city officials accountable. Take note, I will get back to that. Now the questions. As a psychologist, I ask many all day long. First, for basic comprehension, what is it in the article? It is the promotion of luxury housing. Specifically, our mayor and council president Waterman regularly engage in what seems to be a politician's favorite way of promotion, ribbon cuttings everywhere. How, I ask, can a new luxury building still make you proud after everything we've told you for over 2 years? How can you still look in the mirror? And how do you sleep at night being aware that Jersey City is a Faulkner Act city and that tolerating the crimes of our landlord and of city officials puts you with 1 foot into prison? Another tool of psychologists is bottom lining, which leads me to this. In the 80s, there was a German TV show called Money or Love, one of the first dating shows. Even as a kid, I never understood how candidates who had the choice of taking money or finding love could choose money. Obviously, it's not that rare. I feel you had the exact choice multiple times. Here's the bottom line of what you got. I quote from the article. Transfer of wealth from cities working in middle classes to the real estate industry. Impoverishment as more of their income goes to housing. A less diverse city as residents become more divided along race, ethnic, and class lines. Conflict and division as people struggle to remain in their homes or find new ones. And I'll add just some more facts from our story. 2 lawsuits against the city. Countless residents who were forced out of their homes. Over 50 press coverages that document what's going on here. Thousands of voters who will remember this. And now I draw from my experience of coaching executives like you. A boss who is mad at you all the time, even though you try so hard to follow his rules, but somehow cannot make us go away. Tired and sad faces when you look in the mirror. Sleepless nights. On the other hand, remember the quote I started with? What we got is love.
Thank you. 5.24, Suzanne.
Good evening, council members. I have lost count as to how many city council meetings I've spoken at as a tenant in Portside Towers and as of Jersey City. I moved to Jersey City in August 2021 and have ever since complied with paying an illegal overpayment of rent every month. Had I underpaid or been a day late on my rent, I would be faced with overzealous eviction notices from Equity Residential. Instead, I have been drastically overpaying every month, which is only appreciated by Equity and Mayor Phillip. Frankly, I would really like to know something that should be simple, that should be automatic, and that I should not ever need to ask, yet we keep needing to ask. When will this city start to follow the rent control laws in place? Ordinance 260 was passed by the Jersey City Council. Why is it that Ordinance 260 still remains unequivocally unenforced? Even after going through the legal process, we have still had no response from Director Chiron Richardson, and we are still overpaying and facing illegal rent increases every day. You are all well aware of the Faulkner Act, which explicitly states the council has a duty to investigate neglect of legal duties by city officials under said act. Each of you made an oath to perform your duties as a council member of Jersey City when you were sworn into your seats. Has there been any initiation of an investigation into Mayor Phillip or Director Chiron Richardson as to why Ordinance 260 has not been enforced? Why the city is selectively enforcing rent control? Or as to why the tenants who won rent control last October have still not received new leases, any rent rollback, or any repayment of monies owed to them? And why Equity continues to operate per normal with no punishment? 2 to 3 council meetings ago, you, President Waterman, said you would investigate. Please interrupt me if you have initiated an investigation. Human beings, animals, even insects normally do what they must to protect themselves. Actively neglecting to investigate can potentially lead to legal ramifications, including prison. I doubt anyone here wants to go to jail. I do not need to add more fluff to my speech. I would just like to ask again, when will an investigation be initiated? When will we receive new leases? When will the city start enforcing Ordinance 260 for Portside tenants and all tenants in this city? If there is no further comment on behalf of the council, I urge our own legal teams to file a court order for Faulkner Act compliance. Nonsensical inaction by this city should not be tolerated any longer. To end, I at least have faith in the justice system, and I truly believe that justice will ensue for all involved. Thank you.
5.25, Drew.
Good evening, City Council members. My name is Drew Kochanowski, and I'm back yet again, not just on any day, but on the evening of my birthday. I'll be 27 years old in a few hours, and I should be out on the town with friends or out of state with my family celebrating as initially intended. But instead, I opted in to stay here and take a stand against injustice and illegal rent prices. How fun, right? Illegal. Did you hear me say that word? How can you hear it time and time again from this group, but still sit there and continue to take no action when we, your constituents, have outlined what you can do? I'll reiterate what you can do. You're allowing the Bureau to blatantly ignore the Rent Control Ordinance, Chapter 260, and with that, you have the power to push the board to look into ramifications of landlords who fall short of their legal obligations. You have the power to impose an on-the-record investigation as to why the October Rent Leveling Board's determination is still not being followed, and with that, the corruption of the city's administrative process. Under the Faulkner Act, you have the power to investigate neglected legal duties by city officials. You may sit there and choose to listen week after week at these meetings, but your insolence of continual reluctance to help us is so loud. You have an ethical obligation to look into this as council members of our community. Know that inaction is action in and of itself. You do realize that you have the power to help dictate this narrative, right? You can take action on the aforementioned steps. No one is holding you back but yourselves. This is in your hands. Once again, since the last meeting, even more news stories are coming out. So why not take control of the situation when it's your duty and you have the ability to do so? On March 1st, the Federal Trade Commission's business blog released a statement, and I quote, "Landlords and property managers can't collude on rental pricing. Using new technology to do so, it doesn't change that antitrust fundamental." The agencies filed a joint legal brief explaining that price fixing through an algorithm is still price fixing.
Regardless of the industry you're in, if your business uses an algorithm to determine prices, a brief filed by the FTC and the Department of Justice offers a helpful guidance for antitrust compliance, end quote. I don't know how much clearer we can be with what is happening to not just portside tenants, but tenants across your jurisdiction, yet alone the country. If the FTC and the Justice Department are in our corner, why aren't you? I'm going to end this with what I've said in my last few statements, and I will continue saying it. Let's make some good news together. Thank you for your time.
5.26, Erin. Is Erin here? Okay.
Good evening, council members. My name is Erin Kent. I've been here many times. First, I'd like to thank Council Member Frank Gilmore, the Everything Ward F newsletter, and Erica, who's not here tonight, I don't think, for helping us spread awareness this week and for your full support of the complete and thorough enforcement of rent control in Jersey City. Thank you. A question for everyone in this room: how lucky are we to live in America? This is a thought I had yesterday, warm in my bed, thinking about the starving and dead halfway across the world. The fact that things are so dire on the other side of the world that a man had to light himself on fire just to get someone in this warm, comfortable country of ours to pay attention. I am mentioning this because sometimes it feels hard to talk about a thing like rent control in this climate. While I watch my neighbors right here in Jersey City fighting with each other about a conflict I'll never pretend, as a white privileged woman of Northern and Western European descent, to fully understand. I'm incredibly sorry for what they've had to endure and continue to experience on a daily basis. But again, how lucky are we to live in America? The American dream, a dream so many would kill to have. Many die trying to get it, others die knowing they'd never even have a chance. So here we are, Americans in this country of ours. You are very much a part of the machine that is supposed to grant us this dream. It is our duty, all of ours, to not be complacent in matters global and local, because as broken as the system is, we see it in this very room all the time, at least we have a voice. This is why we are here every 2 weeks, and that's why I'm here to talk about rent control, even as a war wages on. Because what does lack of respect for the law and lack of care for our fellow man, what does it say to all those people dying and starving halfway across the world? In this extremely privileged situation, it says we are casual and complacent. I've seen members of this government body roll their eyes, get up and walk away as we talk. I've seen smirks and laughter. I'll reiterate what my friend Sonia has said, how in almost 1.5 years of speeches, we haven't been directly addressed more than twice. But really, do you know how lucky you are? We are asking you to take your duties seriously and not be complacent. I've seen people come up here and ask you to support a ceasefire for a conflict happening halfway across the world. But how can we expect that to be done when we can't even see compliance and enforcement of the law in our very own city? What is the American dream? It certainly doesn't look like us, renters who don't own property, immigrants, expats, minorities. It certainly isn't me, divorced, childless, ranting at city council every 2 weeks. I think just about everyone I went to high school with who lives in a suburb with 2.5 children and a nice green lawn and a white picket fence. Good for them. But my God, how many people around the world would kill to stand here every 2 weeks just like me, to sit in your chair and roll your eyes and get up and walk away and still get paid and not enforce laws just like you? Can we not even do the bare minimum, enforce basic laws, respect our rights, stop the complacency? When we think of how many people would die to be in this room tonight voicing their complaints, fighting for their rights, they would die to be in our position with our basic rights as renters being violated every day. Just imagine what they'd do to be in yours, one with so much power. Please do the right thing.
5.27, Joelle.
Good evening, council members. On March 1st, a JerseyCityToday.org blog post asked, why so much luxury housing in a city where most can't afford it? The following is quoted and or paraphrased from this blog. The short answer is that's where the money is. Luxury or market rate housing maximizes property values and tax revenues. The growth of luxury housing, almost to the exclusion of any other kind of housing, suggests that those with a stake in this kind of development hold sway in Jersey City. They are partners in a growth machine that relies on redeveloping the city for the financial and political capital it provides. To lure large developers to Jersey City, the city partnered with developers and financial services corporations providing generous tax breaks and other incentives, including rezoning for tall buildings, to develop the waterfront. The increased profit opportunities attracted luxury housing developers, including the developers of Portside Towers. These incentives were justified as an economic development program, creating new jobs, businesses, and tax revenue to pay for city services. Unfortunately, the jobs created in the luxury developments are mostly low-end service jobs with limited prospects for upward mobility. The blog further points out, quote, incentivizing the growth of luxury housing has fed real estate speculation, artificially driving up the cost of housing and making Jersey City one of the most expensive places in the country to rent an apartment. Housing has become more commodified, attracting investment firms buying hundreds of the city's apartment buildings to add to their portfolios. These buildings are often poorly maintained and operated as tenants are pressured to leave as investors look to cut costs and increase profits, end quote. This is certainly supported by the experiences with Portside Towers we've shared with you since we began our unbroken string of public comments in November of 22. Further, quote, the high cost of housing leaves less income to spend locally on goods and services. This hurts the local economy through lost businesses, jobs, services, and taxes. And much of the economy consists of mom and pop stores struggling with increased rents. Much of their income stays in the city and has a ripple effect. Conversely, much of the income from luxury housing goes to investors outside the city, end quote. How does this blog relate to our ongoing conversation? One, the loss of tax revenue due to the tax breaks negatively affects city and county services and cheats our public schools. Rental revenue does not remain in the local community. Corporation mega landlords have developed large portions of Jersey City who fragrantly flaunt the ordinances this body has passed and have siphoned off the countless millions of dollars from residents with little value returned to Jersey City. More importantly, these mega landlords who do not follow your ordinances can be a revenue source for the city under the penalty provisions of Chapter 260. The blog concludes, the promotion of luxury housing as an economic development strategy has caused conflict and division as people struggle to remain in their homes or find new ones. But at the same time, it has brought many together to fight for their place in the city and to hold city officials accountable, end quote. That's why we keep coming back. You are accountable. Thank you.
$528, Shannon.
Hello, good evening, Council. I wasn't here at the last meeting because I had a very rough day. I got laid off, and that surprising news took all my energy. And I tried to think of which of my neighbors would let me crash with them. My former employer at the hospital decided on a restructuring, and several of us nurse leaders and educators had our positions eliminated. The shock of being told I was expendable felt completely awful. I was told it was a monetary decision, that the finance department had decided that the nurses could do without us, the leaders and the educators. Should a finance department be making that kind of clinical decision? The finance department is, of course, an important part of the hospital. We have to keep the lights on and the doors open. But should folks who have never worked one day at the bedside be making decisions that affect nurses and ultimately patients? Is that their job? I know this council can't answer that question. And you've been asked a lot of questions tonight, but maybe you can answer a similar question to the one I just asked. It seems like a simple question, and I would genuinely like to know. It's this: are we, the tenants of Portside Towers, asking for help from the right place? Is this the City Council, Jersey City City Council, in the position to enforce the ordinances of Jersey City that aren't currently being followed by our landlord? Despite hours upon hours of volunteer work by dozens of us, hundreds of speeches and more documents and rigorous research than you could possibly believe, is it possible that we're wrong? And this isn't the proper way to get the help we need? To put it another way, is this your job? You're busy and we're busy. We have gotten the judgment from the Rent Leveling Board that we were right to spend all the time pursuing this fight to correct illegal activity, but still, millions of dollars of rent are being charged to us, millions of dollars of illegal rent being collected by equity every single month. If you're not in the position to help, please, please let us know who is. We'll take our energy there. But if you are in the position to help and you're not doing so, we need that explained.
$5.29, John.
Good evening, Council.
So here we are again, 2 years of coming to these meetings. And though we've made some great strides forward, the landlords continue to violate the laws and the city's administration continues to assist them. And we still await meaningful action from you, our city council representatives. It's been 2 years of giving you a growing list of examples of wrongdoing by landlords. You've even been presented with evidence demonstrating how city officials have colluded with our landlord to subvert due processes. And aside from a few words of sympathy here and there, a brief public discussion with your legal counsel a few weeks ago, where the content of Chapter 260 regarding rent rolls apparently couldn't be discussed, even though it's a publicly available document. From what we can see, our words have been met with barely a shrug. You've even heard how people have been forced out of their homes as a result of their landlord's behavior or appalling living conditions, and still a deafening silence. Can you put yourselves in our position and appreciate the amount of stress and anxiety this is putting us through? Are you not outraged about what is going on? Local government is elected to represent the interests and well-being of its city's residents. Rent control ordinances were put in place to protect them from crippling rents. Will any one of you say enough is enough and publicly call on the city to enforce its laws? President Waterman, I understand you're in the running to be our next mayor, and sincerely, congratulations. I do wish you well in that undertaking, and I'm sure that goes for all of us. I will say that since rising rents and the greed of corporate landlords has garnered such a huge amount of focus locally and nationally, sooner or later, the 200,000 or so tenants in this city will want to hear where you stand on this issue. I find it very reassuring to hear you pledge that as mayor, you would be prepared to enforce the city's rent control ordinances that your predecessor steadfastly refuses to. Thank you.
Mel.
Good evening. I have a carefully prepared speech, as I've had many times before, but it's not worth repeating. You've heard us say everything again and again. We've added to our concerns. We've given you proof. We've shown you what needs to be done. We've asked for your help, and we're still here waiting. We're fed up of coming. You must be fed up of listening to it. I hate public speaking. My heart is pounding right now. I don't want to be doing this. Oh, nothing, just absolutely nothing. We've had a couple promises. We've had a few glimmers of hope, and we're still waiting. What else do we need to put in front of you that we need you to action? What else can you do?
I'll let you finish first.
I mean, I'm done. I'd love to hear from you.
So this is what I would like, and I think the rest of the council, I'm not going to speak for the rest of the council, but for us, or for me rather, if you could compile all of the documents of the alleged increases, the letters, the leases, all of that information. I don't know if you've sent them to the landlord tenant office, but if you have not sent them, send them to them, and to CC myself and your Councilman Gilmore as well, so that we're aware of it and that we could follow up with the landlord tenant office to ensure that this doesn't happen. Okay? We need evidence. We need something to work with. You're shaking your head. I'm telling you how you could help us. I sympathize with you. I hear you every time. I would not want to be in this position, and for you to help us help you, that's what I'm asking for.
I mean, we will help you at every step of the way, and I'm pretty sure every document that's been required of us has been sent, that we have been compiling all this information for months, if not years now. It's all available to you. Whatever you need is 100% available. This investigation into why nothing is being done is fully with you, and we'll make sure you have whatever you need. It's insane that this is the first time you're now asking for it, to be honest, because we were under the impression that we've done everything we've been asked of.
This is with regards to after the ruling. So this is
4 months later,
the information.
Still don't have what you need. We'll make sure you have it.
Yes, please. Okay. And
Thank you.
we want to help you. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Five point three one, Gracie? No, okay. 5.32, Paolo? No, okay. 5.33, Michelle?
Your council members, over the past year, under Phillips and Metro's tenure, our city has experienced a credit downgrade across multiple agencies, including Moody's, S&P Global, and Fitch. The credit downgrade signifies a decrease in the city's creditworthiness, and it reflects concerns about our reduced financial flexibility. It also points to a harmful lack of transparency, accountability, and prudent fiscal policies. Fitch likened the situation to deficit financing, necessitating special emergency financing notes. The city's audit for the years ended December 31st, 2022 and 2021 revealed a troubling combination of overspending and unreliable financial reporting, resulting in a staggering $27 million in deferred debt for the $27 million in deferred debt for the current year. The auditors expressed an adverse opinion on the city's financial statements, stating that they do not fairly present the city's financial position in accordance with U.S. generally accepted accounting principles. So how is this relevant to our fight for tenants' rights and enforcement of rent control? I've already called for an investigation into how our city manages its finances. Knowing the city suffers a significant deficit, it shouldn't be a novel idea for the city council to investigate why bad actor landlords who have been violating Chapter 260 have not been fined. Chapter 260 empowers administrators to penalize violations with fines per Chapter 1-25. Based on the bad behavior of our landlord alone, it should be child's play to beef up our coffers, because each day a violation continues, it constitutes a separate offense. Why not put financial pressure on the offending landlords? It's a no-brainer, investigate and start issuing fines. To this end, and not in replacement of an investigation, I'm supporting an idea that was recently shared with me. I call for the council to put forth a resolution that holds Equity Residential accountable, one that cites the specific Chapter 260 provisions that it continues to violate and all related fines. We'd be glad to support such an action. Imagine the good faith it would show voters and the auditors if the city would begin holding bad actor landlords accountable while simultaneously contributing to the restoration of Jersey City's financial stability. Let's talk after the meeting and let's get this done. Thank you.
Five point 34, Allison? No, okay. 5.35 is Tara.
Council. It's March 6th, exactly 4 months since Portside tenants received the Rent Leveling Board's letter of determination regarding the rent control cases. Here's what we all know. 1, Portside tenants won. The board voted unanimously 6-0. Equity does not have the authority to raise their rents, not even by a penny. Bernstein and Associates, the law firm representing Jersey City in the Portside related court action, stated in a March 1 letter to you that to date, no party in either action has been granted a stay of the calculation of the legal rents. Therefore, the Jersey City Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations will be complying with the Rent Leveling Board's determination and recalculating the legal rents for Portside Towers. Rollbacks and recalculations aside, I hope that Mr. Bernstein is advising you the city's persistent non-enforcement of Chapter 260, even after the tenants won, is not what the courts will want to learn. To this date, there are Chapter 260 violations that are not being fined at Portside and throughout Jersey City. Tenants are suffering. Equity continues to behave as though it's immune from the determination, and it is still raising rents at Portside. The city's administrators are not fulfilling their duties. You have a responsibility under the Faulkner Act to investigate, and Mr. Bernstein's counsel does not absolve you from taking prompt action. Please help the tenants of this city. Thank you.
Five point 36, Janice.
Hey guys, listen up before you guys sit down. I'm gonna, this is a lot. Like, I'm not an attorney and I don't know what's going on here. I personally think this has taken way too long. So I'm gonna promise you that next time we're here, I'm gonna stand out there with you guys and hold those signs up. 100%.
Okay, I'm going to repeat the last one, 5.36, Janice. No, okay, 5.37, Mira.
Good evening. Thank you for this opportunity to speak. I want to thank Councilman Borgiano, Saleh, and Gilmore for 3 months ago standing on the right side of history and supporting a permanent ceasefire resolution. The voters of Jersey City will remember those Jersey City elected officials who decided to turn a blind eye to the genocide being perpetrated on the Palestinian people by US-backed Israel. The voters will remember our elected officials who regarded this genocide as a religious issue instead of a moral issue. The voters will remember those who chose to look away when US bombs of mass destruction rained down on children as they were being systematically starved to death. Again, this is not a religious issue. It is a moral issue. Those elected officials who have chosen to dig their heels in and turn away from the clear case of genocide being perpetrated on the Palestinian people in Gaza with our tax dollars are finding themselves more isolated and unelectable. Voters will remember their elected officials who chose not to speak up against the billions of our tax dollars being sent to Israel instead of that money being used to help families here struggling to make ends meet, to help with homelessness and social services in our city as well as infrastructure. Voters across the country will follow Michigonites and lead the vote will follow Michigan's lead and vote uncommitted in the next state election. Candidates on the local and state levels who stand on the right side of history will be voted in as their positions on this global issue resonate with more than 80% of Democratic voters. This is a pivotal moment in our history. I would love to feel proud of the city where I have resided for 37 years instead of ashamed. If Union City, North Bergen, and Weehawken city councils voted unanimously to stand up to injustice and adopt an immediate permanent ceasefire resolution, so can Jersey City. Please do the right thing and do your part to stop this needless death and suffering. It is clear that pressure from the local city levels
5.38, Samantha. 5.39, Janine.
I'm here to speak about the Jersey City Public Schools. And as we know, it was a big uproar at the last meeting. But what I'm here to say, I find it mighty amazing that all of a sudden politicians want to jump in the ring and councilmen are writing articles about they want to sit down with the Board of Education. But where were you at when we needed you to step up for our children? I spoke many times at the board meetings in reference to my daughter being harassed and bullied. I spoke many times about the HIP law being violated and everything that we go through in the school district. We have meetings time and time again. Not one council person that I have called stepped up, returned the phone call, or had anything to say when I'm telling you that my child is being abused in the Jersey City School District. The superintendent is aware of it. The board is aware of it. Everybody is aware of it. They seen videos, they had letters, they had threats, they had everything, and not one person stepped up. But it's so funny now that they had a major argument and everybody want to jump in the arena to have something to say. But where were you when we needed you? Where was any of these council people? Educational Gilmore, you came to the Real Talk at the church that Norma Fernandez had. You heard us speak. I spoke to you. Where were you? So a lot of them are well aware of what's going on. Our children are being bullied. You have kids sitting there wanting to kill themselves. You have parents afraid to speak up because of the retaliation in the Jersey City School District. And then they worried about what's going on with the board member. You only upset because Mr. Morris came in and made a change. Because the rest of them sat there time and time again. They received letters. They watched videos. They heard me speak. They heard her father speak. They heard other parents speak. And still nothing's being done. You want to know the real issues of the board? Why don't you come to the next meeting and sit there and you ask us what's going on? Talk to the parents. Don't talk to the board members. Don't talk to the rest of them. Talk to us. Talk to the ones that sit there while Dr. Fernandez is playing on her phone with her condescending attitude, looking down and talking to other people when we're standing there crying about our children. That's what you do. You come to the meeting and see what's happening with our children. You talk to my daughter and ask her how it felt for them to move her across the town to another school, but you left the bullies there. Talk to me about how the Jersey City police arrested me for defending my daughter. And the school district did nothing. No, my child was bullied. And right after they watched the videos, how ironic, I was cleared, record expunged, because I did nothing wrong but stand there. And as a substitute teacher with the Jersey City District for almost 10 years, I lost my job. For what? For protecting my daughter? I'm a parent before I'm anybody else. And I'm going to stand for my daughter every time. And if it was your kid being abused, I need each and every one of you to tell me, what would you do if it was your child? It's on video. And when you ask in the board, I didn't ask for a miracle. I didn't ask you to crucify the kids. What I asked you for was to have a meeting and let's rectify this. But instead, I was met with just attitude.
Thank you. Thank you.
.40, Sabrina?
Not here.
No. Are you Darren?
That would be me.
Okay.
So Thursday night, 30,000 students, their parents, guardians, and Jersey City Public School employees, taxpayers won because democracy, transparency, accountability, and had finally appeared. The Board of Trustees that actually care about the individuals and stayed weren't like the ones that abandoned their jobs and left. The State Department of Education doesn't have any legitimate or legal reason to intervene in this. This is a board matter and a board matter only, so it'll be interesting to see if they try to come and intervene. We'll be ready for them. Now, to these laughable elected officials, the mayor and the media. The mayor says that there is merit to an appointed school board. What kind of merit is Fulop talking about? I'd love to ask him. And it's amazing that some of you board members have responded. With the lack of real affordable housing in this city, the parking nonsense going on, sky-high taxes, craters in the streets that people can't drive, you guys are commenting about the school board. So the media claims that several council members said the idea of appointed school board has gained some momentum. Where's the data? Show me. I want to see it. The media and the mayor said that everyone can clearly see the dysfunction of the current school board. There's dysfunction there. When did following Robert rules of law, using democratic process to vote people in and out, when did that become dysfunction? Thursday night did not end with a walkout of everybody. The people who care about our kids, they stayed there. The ones that have been doing criminal stuff left. Rivera, let me address you. You should recuse yourself from meeting with anybody about the school board since your family member is the director of the Human Resource Department, causing all types of hell in this district. You can shake your head no, but everybody knows. Everybody
I got
knows.
to, listen, before you keep on, stop the clock. Stop the clock. But before you keep on with your rhetoric, I don't have a board member or no director. That Rivera is Smith in U.S. So you need to know and you need to check yourself and know what you're talking about. You can start his clock again. Keep on going.
So Representative Soleil and Rivera believes that a conversation need to be had about an appointed school board. Very interesting. Where are you guys? Black people are being attacked on a regular basis by this superintendent, this HR director, that the former president and vice president. Now, I don't know why you guys are commenting. Do us all a favor and do yourselves a favor. Educate yourself about what's going on there first. Come to the meetings, ask questions, and get involved. Other than that, you shouldn't be saying anything because it doesn't make sense. See, the problem in this town is that to get people out of office, they got to die or go to jail. And that's the biggest problem in this town. And that $1 billion budget, people get to do nepotism, racism, and all types of stuff that's going on. And it's ridiculous. Educate yourself on what's happening with the kids in the school system before you start commenting. I know it feels good to start to talk about it when the press call you, but sometimes you can say no comment.
5.42, Jim.
Good evening, Council. First of all, respect for Drew, justice for Drew, respect for Women's History Month and year, respect to our Black community. I'm here to talk about the ceasefire in Gaza again. I keep hearing many people talk about it. This is a very important historical issue. It's going to be on your record forever. You're the people who did not stand up and be counted and vote for a ceasefire when a genocide is going on in front of us every single day on our video on our mobile phones. It's not controversial. The Pope has called it a genocide. The Pope has called Israel a terrorist state. And it's not just Muslims who are getting killed. There are plenty of Christians in Palestine. On Christmas Day, Israel bombed a Christian church in Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus. That's how little respect this Israeli government has for human rights, religion, and anything else you hold dear. President Lula of Brazil spoke up and said, this is like Hitler killing the Jews. And he says, this is not an army fighting an army. This is the Israeli army fighting children, women. And today, this is fresh news today. Once again, Israel shot people who were going to get food from food trucks. So I'm calling you to join Union City, North Bergen, Weehawken, and all the other voters in Hudson County. Majority Democrat voters, majority want a ceasefire. Do the right thing, be on the right side of history. Thank you very much.
.43, Musab.
He's not here.
No, okay. 5.44, Kazia.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Keisha Twyman. I'm here tonight because something really needs to be done about the Jersey City Board of Education. I want to know how the Jersey City Board of Ed allowed a special education teacher to resign after she was founded on charges of bullying, failure to educate our children, and verbal abuse. Yeah, she also assaulted another student, but that wasn't what she was founded for. But my point is, she's a special education teacher. These are all autistic children. She did this to two that we know of, and the parents are here. Dr. Fernandez knew about it. Everybody at the board knew about it. Nobody did nothing. But to the first student that this happened to, now, they allowed her to resign so she can go work somewhere else and perhaps do this to other children. And there needs to be some kind of rules put in place. And also, there were teachers that they knew about it, but they were scared to say something about it because of the retaliation. And there needs to be a protection order put in place for anybody working in the Jersey City public school system, because no one should have to feel afraid of losing their job or the backlash or retaliation because they see something and say something. Some people are just so, content with going along with wrong instead of standing up and fighting for what's right. And I don't think it's right. Mothers that are working, like my friend Janine Blair, there should not have been any backlash with her concerning her job because she stood up and defended her daughter. Like she said, she is a mother first before anything. And, like I said, I don't feel like it's right because if someone says something and they become public enemy number one, and the real bullies are at the Jersey City Board of Ed. If you ask me, not just we have to worry about other students, we have to worry about the Jersey City Board of Ed because they're bullies. They bully the people who work for the school system, and it's not right. Something needs to be done, and yeah, I don't even know what else to say. I'm just, thank you.
Speaker 5.45, Jade. Okay, thank you. 5.46, Dominique.
Good evening, everyone. Just like Ms. Twyman was saying, my son, Marvis Cadet, he's a student in 10th grade at Dickinson High School, and his teacher, Miss Christine Diavanzo. I just really wanted to play something. She's been verbally abusive to my son.
Takes you so long. Stop going over tracing every letter, right? Get it done. It took you a whole period to write 6 definitions. That's absurd.
Oh, this is her screaming at my son because he's taking too long to write. And also on his IEP, it says he needs more time to write. And then she also ripped up his paper.
No, look, it's easy. No. Okay.
Her ripping his paper
We can know.
because he took too long to write.
You're right. There's gotta be something over. So this is what.
Something needs to be done with her. She was able to resign, and that's it. I don't have anything else to say. It's not fair that special needs children are just overlooked, ignored. I don't send my son to school to get bullied by nobody. I expect him to come home the same way I sent him. That's all.
5.47, Marvin's. 5.48, Vaughn.
Also here to voice my concerns about the same teacher, Christine Diavanzo. She has harassed, intimidated, bullied, and assaulted my son as well. She called him the N-word, she assaulted him by striking him on the shoulder. And after that, I've noticed his behavior changed. We started recording her, and here's some of the things that she was saying. saying that she hates Jews. Um, She's telling the students to look up her peoples, Charles Manson, which is a cult leader and a murderer, David Koresh, another cult leader associated with Waco, Texas disaster. Here she is yelling and threatening my son. Threatening to throw her shoe at him. Here she is emasculating another boy, asking him if he wants to wear a dress. Here she is again telling the students to ignore and disrespect another special education teacher who happens to be Black. Here she is again threatening students with arrest for recording her. I know my time is up, but I also went to Mr. Gilmore's office. I got nothing but your aide, Erica. I gave her over 30-something recordings requesting a meeting, which you also called the mayor's office, spoke to his aide requesting a meeting with her. I haven't spoken to either of you guys. How it is we allow a monster like this to collect $105,000 a year to mentally, physically, and emotionally abuse our children continually. She's done this for 20-something years. My son, he had to be medicated. He's a former shell of who he was after he got to her. He threatened suicide. He walked out of our home. I'm running on less than 4 hours of sleep every night from 2022 when this happened until now, due to the damage she has caused and brought upon my household. Keep letting teachers like this exist and pay for it. We're going to have more students wanting to hurt each other, more school shootings, more Lawrence Campbells. For you, those of you who don't know who Lawrence Campbell is, he's Jesus. That incident that took place at Walgreens, he's the one that ambushed 2 Jersey City cops and one of them died.
Vaughn, I have to cut you off because your time is up.
I understand.
Hey, Vaughn,
All I'm
listen up.
saying is-
Vaughn, listen up. I'm actually extremely glad that I wrote that article now. So listen, tomorrow, after I get into City Hall at 3:30, all of you guys can come to my office and we can chat, and then we can do that whole transparency stuff that I want to do, and we could just include everybody.
Listen, we've.
But let's
gone
start it.
down that road
Let's
time
start it.
again. It's time
Let's
to put
start it.
boots to ass.
Let's start it.
Thank you. Thank you, Vaughn.
Speaker 5.49, Carol.
Hi, council people. Good evening. First of all, as a mother of kids in Jersey City, I'm pretty shocked by what I just heard. So I just wanted to say, guys, I'm really sorry about this. I'm back to being a Jew now after being a mother. To just remind you to please concentrate on the residents of Jersey City. I know you're hearing a lot of things. People are talking about what's happening, but at the end of the day, we really want you to worry about what's happening here. Not much has changed for us. Actually, it's gotten a bit worse. Like the stickers are still there. But there was also a march this weekend calling for free Palestine from Weehawken to Jersey City. I don't need to tell you what that means. It means essentially like no Jews here, no Jews allowed in Hudson County. On top of this, there was a pretty bad sign, and you know about that, Councilman Salomon, in front of my house. That was pretty anti-Israel, that my daughter happened to see first at 8 years old, understanding what it meant, which is not really pleasant as a mom. And I was told that there is nothing we can do, although it's on the pavement, this is private property. I would like to think that we can do better as usual. I would like to think that if it was any other minority, something would have been done. And I'm here just like wondering what it means for my kids to grow up here. My parents are here tonight with me from Paris. My dad grew up in Tunisia, my mom in Morocco. That she leaves those countries for bringing Jews. I am a first generation French. I grew up in Paris. I don't need to tell you what it was like over there. I got spat on routinely for being French, called a dirty Jew. People drew swastika on my desk. I was told that two kind of people, two kind of living things get branded in life, livestock and Jews. And so, you know, by the time I was 23, I took my bags, I went to London, and my dream was to come to America. I came here because this is the most diverse city in America. I get to speak here as an American citizen and a French citizen with my accent. You guys can't get half of what I'm saying probably by now, but that's okay. I'm a mom, you know, it's cool to be here. Like, I love it. And I don't want my kids to grow up like that. I don't want my daughter to like cry at night because there was a horrible sign outside that no one dealt with. I don't want her to ask me why we're so hated, that she thinks she's cursed, frankly, to see all of that. She was at the MoMA when, you know, there was this horrible protest as well. I don't want my kids to grow up here. Like, this is Jersey City. I've asked a few times now. I'm going to ask respectfully again. If you cannot bring us together, I get it. It's hard. I know you guys have like so much to do. If you can't bring us together because it's too hard right now, at least like take a stand against hate as a whole, right? Like, do what Hoboken has done. It's not difficult. It's not difficult to say like there is no space for hate in this city. There is no space for hate in America, and we can all be. This is all I'm asking for. This is it. I'm just hoping I don't have to come and speak again. It's a long night for you. You're probably sick of hearing from me. I don't want to come all the time and speak to you, but I'm just asking you to please, like, you know, just like condemn hate. It's not difficult. This is really, again, all I have to say at this point. Thank you for listening to me. Have a nice evening.
5.50, Donna. Donna?
Good evening on this rainy night. I'm sure that I'm not, my name is Donna Ristarucci. Okay. I'm sure I'm not saying anything that you haven't already heard, but I wanted to add another voice to those who are asking the council to reconsider a resolution calling for a ceasefire in Gaza, a permanent ceasefire, because I was more than disappointed when the council did not pass the resolution last time. And things have gotten so much worse in Gaza since the resolution was defeated. Like, now the death toll is more than 30,000 people, mostly women and children. Thousands more have been forced from their homes. They've been displaced. Israel tells them where to go, and it ends up that they're bombed there as well. You know, homes, schools, hospitals, universities, and all kinds of institutions are destroyed. Since you defeated the resolution, now people are starving. This week, more than 100 Gazans were shot to death by the Israeli armed forces when they surged on the convoys, bringing them food. They're starving. The UN said that they're on the verge of famine. Let's see. Since the resolution didn't pass here, the International Court of Justice has said that the charges of genocide by Israel are plausible, and countries all over the world have been speaking out in support of that, you know, agreeing with that. And if you watch it, I watch it, some of the statements, they're really, really amazing, you know. Since then, also, the United States has vetoed 2 ceasefire resolutions at the UN. And President Biden, even though he says that the bombing is indiscriminate or over, oh God, I'm almost, he's still sending weapons more than ever. And the movement in our country has really grown. Other people have pointed out how the opposition here and around the world is calling on Israel to stop the genocide. You know, I don't think that that criticizing Israel can be equated with anti-Semitism. So I saw this documentary recently called Israelism, which has been banned in a lot of places, and I can get some insights on why some people who were raised in traditional Jewish households gain this unconditional support for Israel. And it's something that maybe the council and other people should look at. Okay, thank you.
5.51, Rebecca? No, Rebecca. 5.52, Al?
Hello, my name is Zach. I was here to ask to speak for Al, who is sick. Is that all right? No?
You can't. He has to be here.
Okay, 5.53, Cheryl?
You know, I work for Jersey City Public Schools, and I want to say that I hope that what happened Thursday night stick, because Dejon Morris, he put out some hard questions they couldn't answer. They should be able to answer it, and the problem is the board allows the district to skate on just about everything. I've been speaking at board meetings for about 2 years now, and I've been tackling racism, discrimination, ageism, sexism. If it's an ISM at the end of it, that Human Resources Department practices it. I was recently elected VP of my union, 2262, the first African-American woman to be elected to that position. African-American woman was also elected to the president's position, and we're facing racism in our position. When we go to help our members, we are restricted. When we go to the board building, we are restricted from going upstairs and speaking to supervisors, and we should be able to speak to supervisors because we need to help our members that way. 2 times we went there. The first time we sat in the lobby for 3 hours. I made calls. Nobody answers me. I send emails. Nobody answers me. We went back again Monday. The same thing happened. Dejon questioned it, and he wouldn't let up on the superintendent. She didn't have an answer. But we know that, and I have nothing against the teachers union president, but when he goes wherever he wants to go. So it's something unfair about that. So I know it's racism, and I keep fighting against it, and I keep speaking against it. And I have sent emails to board members. At this point, I'm not worried that you don't have jurisdiction. I'm worried that these are people that work for Jersey City Public Schools, and tax dollars pay our salaries, and we live in Jersey City. So that should bother you. So I will continue to fight and keep speaking out because I know whose shoulders I stand on. So I want to know, do you know whose shoulders you stand on? Because we need help. We need help, please. Thank you. Have a blessed night. Oh, and also, PS20 school on Danford Avenue on the 3rd floor looks like a dumping ground. It's a fire hazard. And we've sent pictures, we've sent emails, and nobody is doing anything about it. Children are in that building. Even though they're down on the 1st floor, shouldn't look like that on the 3rd floor because they could do something with that 3rd floor. Taxpayers' dollars. That's what you should be worried about. And I also know that they misappropriate taxpayers' dollars. That should concern you also. So I'm asking you to please look into that. When we send you emails, please, we're not playing, we're serious. I work it, I live it, I see what's going on, and we need help from the city council. Thank you. Have a blessed night.
Thank you.
Speaker 5.54, Chris?
He's not here.
No?
Rez? Where? Oh,
Chris Perez?
Rez, I didn't even see you, Chris. No, I didn't see. I honestly didn't see. Chris, you're losing weight, Chris.
Feed me then.
All right, good evening, council. There are a handful of concerns I would love to touch on. However, with the limited time, I am speaking tonight as the president of the Jersey City Landmarks Conservancy, JCLC. We are a non-for-profit volunteer organization founded in 1999 to protect and promote the architectural, cultural, and environmental heritage of Jersey City. Hopefully, you've had an opportunity to enjoy segments of our new oral history series that highlights the lives of long-term residents, an important part of Jersey City's history. A project funded in part by a grant from the Jersey City Arts and Culture Trust Fund, with a screening of our first film in these very council chambers last August. We applaud the Division of City Planning and the Historic Preservation Office for taking on the overdue Historic Preservation Master Plan process. We have concerns and would like to see the process elongated to ensure that we get it right. We copied you last week on a letter we sent to City Planning and the Historic Preservation Office, expressing our concerns, recommendations, and offering our resources to assist with the Historic Preservation Master Plan process. In this letter, we explained how the JCLC recently hosted a workshop with community organization leaders from all over the city, how this helped us identify goals that may be missing and improve goals that were included in the draft. Recently adopted historic preservation master plans from other New Jersey municipalities were also used for reference. The JCLC and the organizations we engage with are yearning for out-of-the-box creative thinking and an opportunity to shape the long-term vision of our city's preservation efforts. We believe the current historic preservation master plan process needs more time to address errors, omissions, and create a framework that embodies a long-term vision and meets the state of New Jersey's requirements for master plans. We requested that the process be extended and offered our support. This letter was undersigned by the following organizations and additional organizations that expressed support after we sent out our letter: the Bayside Park Neighborhood Association, Crescent Clinton North Madison Association, Embankment Preservation Coalition, Friends of Cornelius Parker Park, Friends of Ferris Triangle Park, the Greater Neighborhood Association, Historic Paulus Hook Association, I Love Greenville, Jackson Hill Special Improvement District, the Jersey City Parks Coalition, Kismet of Kings, Madison Avenue Block Association, McGinley Square Community Board, Pershing Field Neighborhood Association, Riverview Neighborhood Association, Sergeant Anthony Park Neighborhood Association, the Sherwood Claremont Neighborhood Association, and the West Side Community Alliance. We are not criticizing the city or city planning. This is a huge undertaking that we can't expect to come out right on the first try with limited time. Ideally, revisiting a city's historic preservation master plan is a process that is carried out every 10 years.
Thank you. Speaker 5.55, Maya. Maya? No? Okay. That, oh, you are here. Okay, come on up.
Thank you.
Hello again. I'm here again to ask for the passage of the ceasefire resolution. First, just to express my solidarity with the renters and the parents facing racism in the schools. I'm sure there were other issues that I would also agree with, although it was difficult to hear in the back. But what I came here to talk about today is again to ask you to pass the ceasefire resolution. Again, I'm a Jewish resident with Israeli family. And every day that goes by without a ceasefire shows some new horror that I can't have even really imagined if I tried. It's so far beyond time for local governments to act and to just do what we can to exert pressure on our federal officials for a ceasefire. At this point, 3 other Hudson County towns, including Union City and Weehawken, have passed ceasefire resolutions. 70 cities across the country have passed ceasefire resolutions. And it really is the floor. I mean, BNY Mellon, for example, a bank that's funding one of the main weapons manufacturers responsible for killing Palestinians in Gaza, has a location in Jersey City. You know, we could be asking to shut down this bank, but we're just asking to start for a little resolution saying it's actually bad for people to be killing each other. It's a pretty low lift. And just to to tell a couple stories from this week, although I don't like to sort of go over and over again the trauma, particularly for Palestinian residents who've had to kind of put themselves out there so many times to different governing bodies and relive that trauma. But just this week, there was the Israeli military brought in an aid convoy to North Gaza where people are starving and eating animal feed, and 16 children have died of malnutrition at this point, and then fired upon indiscriminately the crowds of people trying to get food, killing the estimates up to 100, including in the subsequent stampede of people trying to flee from the bullets and flee from being crushed by tanks or the aid trucks. So every day it's just something horrible like this. I saw another gentleman, Hassan, I forget his last name, who wrote a letter to President Biden saying that since the last time he'd asked for a ceasefire, 220 members of his extended family had been killed in Gaza. And in Israel, just this past week, a hostage who was taken on October 7th and then released in the last ceasefire deal, her name is Alana, was water cannoned in the face, protesting the Israeli government, begging them for a ceasefire to release her husband in another agreement. And a 10-year-old kid was shot in the West Bank, 10-year-old Palestinian kid. So if she can be water cannoned in the face after being captive for so many months, calling for a ceasefire, I think we can pass a little resolution with no such violent consequences.
Time is up.
Sean, that's everyone, Sean?
Yeah, that concludes our speakers list.
All right. First, I just want to thank everyone for coming out, for sharing their views. I think this is the greatest part of our democracy, when we allow people to come and conduct themselves in a reasonable manner and voice their concerns, displeasures, and all that. With that being said, I do want to take this time to apologize both to the Board of Ed individuals that came in Portside. I just feel like I got to do better. And, you know, I'm going to take that task to do better. But just to put things into context and into perspective, it is extremely concerning to me what I heard on the tapes and things of that nature. But I just don't want it to be lost in all of this, that just so the record reflect, I have been advocating more than, I would make the argument, more than anyone in a county as it relates to mistreatment of all demographics before I was elected. So with that being said, like I said, I take accountability, and with respect to the board, it's an interesting dynamic for me in a sense that my primary focus and what I get paid for is to create legislation on a municipal level. That's what I get paid to do. That is my responsibility. That is my job. I'm an advocate at heart, so I do the additional things. With respect to Vaughn, that's our fault for not following up, but we did send the correspondence to the appropriate people. I have those emails and I'll share them with you later on. But I just want the record to reflect that there is a fine line for me and my role, right? It's everyone's like, oh, what is Educational Gilmore doing? Why is he still why isn't he still not advocating? It's not that I'm still not advocating, it's that my role have increased in what I was supposed to do as it relates to my obligations. And I tell people in the community all the time, you can create another Coach Wu. This work is not mutually exclusive to just me doing the work. We have to do it together and to do it in solidarity. When you put a drastic burden on one individual, it becomes overwhelming, right? So with that being said, I mean, I'm just a person that takes full accountability, and I always want to be transparent, but I like to put things into context. So with that being said, again, you know, I just think that it's good for people to constantly come out, voice their concerns, voice their displeasures. I hear it. I sit up here, I look you in the face, because when I sat on that side of the podium or from this dais, I understand the pain and the anger, and that stuff is real. That stuff is real. Trust me, I'm not being dismissive or neglectful in any way, shape, or form. So I just wanted to say that so the record reflects.
Okay. Anyone else? We're good? Alrighty. Any questions or comments on petitions and communications items 6.1 through 6.19? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on office communications 7.1 or 7.2? Hearing none. Any questions or comments on reported directors 8.1? And moving right along to our claims and addendum number 1. Council members are going to be taking a vote on claims and addendum number 1. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Claims and addendum number 1 are approved unanimously 9-0. On to our resolutions. Council members, before we take a vote on the resolutions, item 10.2, with the administration's approval, we would like to withdraw it because unfortunately the family couldn't come to tonight's meeting. So if the administration would agree to have that withdrawn.
Absolutely.
Thank you. So with that being said, council members, I'm going to be taking a vote on items 10.1 through 10.13, with the exception of 10.2, which has been withdrawn. 10.4 and 10.13 were approved earlier. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
All.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Items 10.1 through 10.13, with the exception of 10.2, which has been withdrawn, are approved unanimously 9-0. On to our next set of resolutions, items 10.14 through 10.24. Again, that's 10.14 through 10.24. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
All.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Items 10.14 through 24 are approved unanimously 9-0. And for the balance of our resolutions, items 10.25 through 10.32, with the exception of 10.32, was approved earlier. Councilperson Ridley.
Aye.
Councilperson Prinzary.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Baggiano. Councilperson Saleh.
Aye for all.
Councilperson Solomon.
Aye.
Councilperson Gilmore.
Aye.
Councilperson DeGise.
Aye.
Councilperson Rivera.
Aye.
And Council President Waterman. Items 10.25 through 10.32 are approved unanimously 9-0. And may I have the magic motion to adjourn at 8:58 PM? I heard the motion made by Councilperson Rivera. May I have a second? Second, and I'm going to give it to the loudest, Councilperson Prinzary. On the motion to adjourn at 8:58 PM, all council members present by acclamation, please say aye. We are out of here at 8:58 PM. Thank you so much, everyone present and everyone watching at home. Remember, teamwork makes a dream work. Have a great night. Stay safe.